It's the Mixed Martial Arts Hour with
The Mixed Martial Arts Hour is back in your life on this Monday, October 31st, 2022, aka Halloween. Hello again, everyone. I sure hope you're doing well. I can't really feel my face. It's a little snug, but I wanted to get in the spirit because when I got here, the studio was in the spirit. Thanks in large part due to our guy, GC. He's a very festive guy, and you will see more of just how festive he is in a moment. I can't hardly speak. I don't know if you guys can tell, but like my nose is sticking out here. It's being pinched. This mask, by the way, was given to me by the great Jessica Aguilar many moons ago, and I don't know if I ever actually wore it for more than 5 seconds. It's very tight, but I wanted to be in the spirit because everyone loves El Nariz. He's a fan favorite of the children, and I'll be dressing up as El Nariz later on today when I go trick-or-treating with the children. It is my go-to costume. Anyway, I'm going to take this off right now, but can we just get another look at this studio? Look at this place. Look at it. Can we get, yes, look at that. Look at that. Let's see that shot over there. I mean, look at this. The cobwebs, the spiders, the pumpkin, even the little bug thing on the, no, go back. This shot right here, camera A. Let me get it right there. Look at that. That's beautiful. 1 second. Let me just take this off because, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Great to be here, back from Arizona. Hope you all had a lovely weekend. We got a lot to get to. A no time to waste intro for all of you today because there's a lot going on in the world of combat sports. May have seen me on Showtime pay-per-view this past weekend. Thank you all for the great messages of support. Thank you to all the lovers and the haters out there, the positive ones and the negative ones. I can't wait to get to all of it. Jake Paul beating Anderson Silva via decision. What a scene it was, what theater it was. I'm actually really curious to hear from the guys. I'm curious to hear from New York Rick, from GC, from Frank, because obviously I'm very close to it. Literally and figuratively, I'm sitting right there, ringside, and it was a great experience, and it was amazing to work with Morrow and Al Bernstein and GSP and Brian Custer and the entire Showtime Sports team. They always make me feel very welcome, always make me feel like I'm a part of the family, a part of the team, and it was another fun one. Really a dream come true to work on those, in the ring, outside of the ring, all of that, and it was especially special for me because I got to bring my family. My daughter was there, my wife was there, my kids were there, and it was a very special one because it was my daughter's 6th birthday, so we got to travel together, and it was the first time I brought my family on a trip, and it was great. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. So a memorable weekend for me, a lot to get to. Let me tell you about today's program before I get to the lineup. Let me tell you, as always, we are presented by our good friends over at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of the UFC and the MMA Hour. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code THEMMA for a special offer when you sign up. Again, that's code THEMMA only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Back into the show, talk to the guys, recap the weekend, all that and more. 3 o'clock, we'll talk to Sean O'Malley, his big win over Petr Yan. Where does he go from here? 2:40, we'll talk to Sean Brady about his loss to Belal Muhammad, first loss of his career. Where does he go from there? 2:20, we'll talk to Sayif Saud, the head man over at Fortis MMA, was in the corner of Uriah Hall. They continue to be one of the best teams in the world, obviously based in Dallas, Texas. 2 o'clock, more talking with the guys. 1:40, the great Katie Taylor stops by, had the big win over Karen Elizabeth Carabajal on Saturday at Wembley. And at 1:20, a man who I know was watching very closely on Saturday, Tommy Fury, will stop by to talk about Jake Paul and if he's next. Of course, Tommy Fury fighting on November 13th in Dubai against the great Paul Bamba. So he has to get by that test first. We'll see if he does, if in fact we finally get Fury versus Paul in 2023. So a lot to get to. And I actually usually I'll sit here and talk about the guys, the fights, my reaction. But I want to get to the guys early on because I'm really curious to hear what they thought of it all. I mean, I said a little bit how I felt on Saturday. I was very impressed with his performance. I was very impressed with what he did. I thought Anderson was going to win. I thought he was going to win via decision. It was a close fight. Obviously, the 8th round sealed it. The knockdown sealed it. I know people are still not going to want to give him credit. That's why I said, what are they going to say now? Because remember, a year ago, they said he wouldn't fight Anderson Silva. A year ago, they said he wouldn't have the balls. A year ago, they said he couldn't beat Anderson if he accepted it. And now it's, of course, as we predicted, he's old, he's 47, he's an MMA fighter, blah, 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 blah. Fight a real boxer. I can assure you, Anderson is a tougher fight than a Tommy Fury type of boxer, right? Like the type of guy that he would fight if he was fighting your typical opponent that a 7-0 fighter is fighting. Ashton Silva fought that guy in the co-headliner, and he knocked him out in 30 seconds. You are fighting guys who haven't fought in 3 years, who are 1-12, this and that. But of course, you know, he plays by a different set of rules. So let's bring in the guys here and see how they felt about it all. And there we go. Here's, and it's going to be great to have this very serious conversation about Jake Paul with GC, who is joining us from where? Parts unknown, GC?
Parts unknown, you know, Halloween. I got myself lost. I got a pterodactyl now.
This is incredible. I mean, this is amazing.
We're coming in live. It's tough. You know, the fan, not doing the best job in the world. You know, this guy's supposed to be a little bit bigger, but
what fan?
You know,
yeah, what fan? I thought that was just
exactly,
like the. Come on, what are you talking about? I thought that was just like, you know, the ambiance.
Yeah.
It looks like you're in some sort of spooky locale, maybe a cemetery. Yeah, Sleepy Hollow, something like that.
With a large industrial fan.
Yeah, I think he lost
you guys
us.
are going to me. I've completely lost audio. Over here.
Perfect. Well, you look great. Honestly, you don't need to contribute much other than
disaster.
this. No, this is fantastic.
Out on an island.
We'll sort that out in a moment. Let me go to New York Rick here because I always appreciate your no-nonsense approach to all of this.
Sure.
Now, here we are, 36 hours removed from what we saw on Saturday. Jake Paul, Anderson Silva. You were one of the many who said fight Anderson, right? That should be the next fight.
100%.
What did you make of what we saw on Saturday?
Yeah, I think we saw somebody who's drastically improving. I think we saw a better Jake Paul than we saw last time. I think we saw somebody in Anderson Silva who was a capable opponent. To your point, I personally think better than the boxers at the level that he would have been facing. So I agree with your point there 100%. I think Anderson Silva was more competitive. So yeah, I was impressed. I left very impressed. With the
Are you allowed to say
Jake
you're
Paul.
impressed? Because I said I was impressed, and the avalanche of hatred that I received afterwards by just giving this guy credit, and I understand why. Listen, I understand why MMA fighters feel a certain way about all this. In particular, I sympathize with the MMA fighters, right? Because the MMA fighters are seeing this kid who took a shortcut, in essence, who didn't work his way up the... guys, can we just cut GC's audio? Because I can hear them speaking. So just, Frank, if you could just turn down his audio, that would be great. And the fan as well. He took a shortcut.
Yep.
He's getting paid a lot more than them.
But did he? That's the question. Did he really take a shortcut? Like, as we've said, the level of opposition that he's facing is higher than most people in that competitive space in boxing.
100%. No, I just mean he took a shortcut to the spotlight. He took
Sure.
he
Okay.
took a shortcut.
Fair enough.
By the way, that's completely discrediting like how hard it is to become a YouTuber. People just throw it out like you could just get 1 million views.
Yeah.
That in itself is tough. But in their eyes,
I get what you're saying.
he took a shortcut.
In the fight game,
and now he's beating up, legends who they would all like to fight, who they would all sign up to fight, and is making way more money than they make in the UFC or in any other MMA promotion. So I can understand where they're coming from. And then I understand where the fans are coming from to a degree, where it's like, hey, we saw this pimply-faced kid, on YouTube 3 years ago. He couldn't even throw a punch. How is it possible that he's doing this, right?
Yeah.
Again, to reiterate your point, Anderson Silva at 47 is infinitely better than anyone that he would fight as a 5-0 boxer. He is better than some pro boxers out there, in my opinion. Did we forget what he did to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. a year and a half or so ago, knocking out Tito Ortiz as well? Like, the guy knows how to box. And so the next thing you hear is like, oh, fight Tommy Fury. I think Anderson is just as tough, if not tougher, at this point at 47 than those types of opponents. But people don't want to give him credit. People don't want to give him his due because they feel like he's not earning it, because he's not putting in the work. He is, though. He is putting in the work. Yeah. You don't get... I was there for the last 3 fights. The guy who fought Tyron Woodley in August last year loses that fight on Saturday.
For sure.
He gasses out. He gets rocked. He might even get knocked out. The guy who fought Tyron Woodley in December probably loses that fight. He has improved dramatically. Now, how far does he go? Can he beat Canelo? Of course not. I don't know.
I'm not even going to.
But this reluctancy to give him any kind of credit whatsoever is mind-blowing to me. And I'm wondering why it is, where it comes from.
Oh, it's very simple. They're not even mad at Jake Paul. They're mad at themselves. It comes from a place of their own insecurities. They want to project them onto Jake Paul, and he represents that for them. Because they're unhappy, they want everybody else to be unhappy. Because they're not succeeding or achieving, they want everybody else not to succeed and achieve. So when Jake Paul does, it makes them feel bad. That's not everybody, but that's a lot of people. And that applies to a lot of different people and their different allegiances. You know, Aljamain Sterling spoke about this before. So that's where it comes from. I don't think it has to do with an objective analysis of Jake Paul's boxing. I mean, it's obvious. It's obviously not that. It's obviously.
Do you know how hard it is to go 8 rounds against anyone?
Yeah.
In the world, like even against like me versus you, 8 rounds. We're both gassing out in 4.
I'm done in 1.
Yeah. You know, I like I told you, I go to a trainer twice a week. I hit mitts. I'm exhausted after 3 minutes. You know what I mean? So to do that on that stage with that many people watching on Showtime pay-per-view with a spotlight on you, and then to go toe-to-toe with anyone, let alone someone like Anderson with his, allure, playing the mind games and all that stuff, and succeeding, to me was really, really impressive. We both thought, by the way, he was going to lose, right?
I thought this was the one where he bit off too much. Let me say 2 things.
Please.
1, he stokes this a little bit.
100%.
Asking for Canelo Alvarez changes this conversation, right?
It almost hurts him more, yeah.
It hurts the if you want to say this is where I am, rate me properly, but you can't be talking about Canelo. He's not there. Canelo would take him out in 5 seconds. It's just not real. It's just
Agreed.
It just doesn't help.
Agreed.
But I saw a clip of Anthony Smith going around, who I think, by the way, sidetrack, one of the smartest analysts we have.
Agreed.
Like, he is really on point. He made some salient, cogent points about whether MMA fans had a sorry, I was a little bit distracted hearing myself. He made a point about why MMA fans and fighters have a reason to be a little bit perturbed or upset about the way the Jake Paul experiment and all this stuff is going. I agreed with some of it. I agree with the idea that he is trotting out some of the guys who are the tail end of their career, and he's not fighting the cream of the crop. But first of all, he shouldn't be. That's not where he's at, period.
Right.
But the other part where I disagree with Anthony Smith is that if he was in that position, if he wasn't somebody who was a top-ranked light heavyweight and chasing a UFC title, but instead somebody on the tail end of the career looking to transition over to boxing, like an Anderson Silva, he'd be the first to say, don't judge me, I'm taking this fight, I want to die on my shield, don't take me out of there, this is an opportunity for me. So, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, maybe he wouldn't, so let me walk that back a little bit. But I think there's a lot of fighters out there who would be dying for these opportunities when it feels like MMA has chewed them up and spit them out, and now boxing is giving them another opportunity. So I think his point about like Jake Paul is chewing them up and spitting them out is fair, but MMA would have already done that or has already done that. So I don't think it's fair to kind of put that all that responsibility on Jake Paul to keep them safe or not want to fight these types of opponents. Because I think MMA has already rinsed their hands of them or will soon, or, however we go, whether it be Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, or Anderson Silva. MMA's already chewed them up and spit them out. So for Jake Paul to give them an opportunity to make more money, I'm okay with that, even if we can accept the reality that, they're not in their prime, and he's fighting a 47-year-old man, but somebody that many of us, myself included, thought would beat him.
Jake Paul versus MMA has been a very brilliant and lucrative feud.
For sure.
He would be silly to end it now, and it doesn't seem like he wants to end it. He's also only fighting the guys who are available. How many of these names are available, right? How many of these ex-UFC guys are available? I think, personally, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, that he would fight guys who are younger, but how many of those guys are available? They aren't.
There isn't.
Tyron Woodley, again, it's a lot of revisionist history. People thought he bit off too much fighting Woodley. Now it's, he was a wrestler. People thought he was biting off too much against Anderson. He's an old guy. He's washed up, this and that. So it's all this, revisionist Monday morning quarterbacking going on. But if you can strip all that away, I was leaving Phoenix yesterday and I saw George St. Pierre in the airport, and I didn't get to talk to him after the fight. I was like, George, I keep seeing these people like discrediting him, calling me crazy for even giving him 1 ounce of credit. What did you think? You're freaking George St. Pierre. Oh, okay. Now after this, people say, well, he's not a real boxer. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I was super impressed. I didn't think he was going to do that to him. He was great. He went to the body. I mean, I have some of the stats here, and this is courtesy of my friend Dan Canobio of CompuBox. He does work with CompuBox, but also has his own show, Inside Boxing Live. He does a tremendous job. Threw 215 jabs, 140 more than Anderson Silva. 42% of his power shots he landed. Threw 30 body shots, landed 30 body shots. Was averaging 42 punches per round, up from the 27 in his last fight. Like, this is an improved fighter. Is he the next champion in his weight class? Is he fighting Canelo next and beating him? No. But to not sit back and say, this guy, like, can you not even like bring yourself to do that? That blows my mind. And then also, please, can I just make one plea if I can? If he's listening, please, Elon Musk, I know you're a big fan of the show. Please, please start charging us to use Twitter. Please. And I hope Twitter fucking burns to the ground and swallows up every single person that is on that piece of shit tool, because this Zapruder film, QAnon bullshit, that this shit is fixed, these bullshit videos that this shit is fixed, that this shit is rigged, that you are coming out with before the fight. To hell with all of you guys. To hell with all of you. If you want to say he's handpicking opponents, if you want to say he sucks, if you want to say he's annoying, if you want to say he's the worst of humanity, great. But to call this shit fixed, to see that with my own eyes, and then to go online and see people make up these videos that this shit is rigged and fixed, to hell with all of you. And I hope that Elon Musk somehow burns Twitter to the ground so we never have to be resorted or subjected to any of this bullshit ever again, because it is seriously ruining the fight game. It is ruining it for me.
I'm going to say, hi, Elon.
Yeah, hi.
Don't do that.
No, please.
This happens on all platforms, not just Twitter.
Right.
Please, Elon.
Keep them on the other bullshit platforms.
Agree with you. I mean, it's just absurd. But to the point, you talked about he needs to beat a boxer. I've always said and long said, and I think at this point, hopefully you agree with me, it doesn't really matter. They will find a reason.
Also, ignoring the fact that he was booked to fight 2 boxers this summer.
But it doesn't matter. They will find these people, I don't want to say they as some nebulous thing, the people who do not want to give Jake Paul credit will always find a way to not give Jake Paul credit. So whether he fights a boxer, whether he fights Canelo Alvarez and wins, they will find a reason that this was fugazi. They'll make up something, like your point about it's fixed. There will always be a reason. It doesn't matter if he fights a boxer. It doesn't matter if he revives Muhammad Ali and fights him. There will always be a reason for people who hate Jake Paul to hate Jake Paul.
Oh my God, if he revives, I mean.
Yeah. Maybe we could do the hologram fight.
It's Halloween.
And the other thing I'll say, it is acceptable. You can make a very reasonable case that he's improved, that he's continuing to improve, that he's a boxer at this point, and also say that somebody like Tyron Woodley or Anderson Silva, who have in their MMA careers been known for moments of inactivity, allow him to look better than maybe against somebody else. It's okay to be objective about these things without pretending that only one of these two realities can be true. It's okay to give Jake Paul credit, and it's okay to also say that Anderson Silva or Tyron Woodley or Ben Askren maybe were not the opponents that were going to push him or test him in the way that we thought. It's okay to say all these things. But I think
that's how Anderson fights, right? I mean, I'm no expert.
That's what makes Anderson Anderson.
Sure. And when I was in his locker room, his guy told me, like, we're going to put on a clinic here. You think we're going to get into a firefight with this guy? That's what they told me.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did. That was their game plan. Now, I guess people can say that was disappointing or he threw the fight. It's all BS. That's exactly what he wanted to do. And that's what he did against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It was successful against him. It wasn't successful against Jake. So now let's see where we go from here. And it's going to be a very interesting story to follow. But to me, like, I learned something. I learned, first of all, I have an infinite amount of respect for Anderson. Anderson at 47 doing this is incredible. Not a lot of athletes can do that, period. We've seen other people have success at that age in boxing. The Bernard Hopkins of the world, obviously he's not at his level because he wasn't a pro boxer. But the fact that he stood in there and did his thing, I mean, and handled it all like a pro, like an absolute, class act was great. And now, this story isn't going away. It's not going away anytime soon, which leads us to our first guest of the day. So put a pin in it for a moment, and we'll also check back in with GC. But I'm listening to a lot of people on this Monday. I'm reading a lot of people saying, fight a boxer, fight a boxer, fight a boxer, fight Tommy Fury. That's the fight. That's the one to make. And so I thought, hey, let's check in with Tommy Fury, who's actually fighting himself next week, not this weekend, next weekend, November 13th in Dubai against Paul Bamba on the card that is headlined by Floyd Mayweather versus Deji. Tommy Fury joining us once again on the program. Let's say hello to him. Hello, Tommy. How are you? Happy Halloween, my friend.
Happy Halloween.
I appreciate it.
Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for having me on the show. Happy Halloween. What can I say? It's nice and spooky over in England, and can't wait for fight night.
I appreciate you coming on, being in the spirit. Also, apologies to you. I didn't realize that the UK changed their clocks a week before us, so I screwed you up with the time. So thanks for being a gent and coming on a little early.
Don't worry, I wasn't doing anything that other hour anyway.
Okay, perfect. So everyone wants to know, what do you think of Jake's performance on Saturday?
Honestly, I don't know what to think of it because, I don't want to be coming across as that, I just hate Jake Paul. Like, you just can't fight, right? But please look what a 48-year-old man has done with him. Like, I'm not being funny, but at the end of that fight, he looked like he'd been in a fight with a WBC light heavyweight champion. Like, he looked gone. Like, he went through the trenches in that fight. He got roughed up, and that's a 48-year-old man. I mean, Anderson Silva is not too far off my dad's age. I mean, Anderson Silva's a great. Well, let's be real and let's talk here properly on how it is. The man's nearly 50 years of age. He's not trained as a boxer. He's a professional icon, one of the best to ever do it in the UFC, in a cage, under a different set of rules. He trains in a lot of mixed martial arts. Now, when Jake Paul steps in with a man who just trains in boxing, I find it, especially after seeing it Saturday, I don't see Jake Paul beating any average boxer. Like, even a not that good boxer would beat Jake Paul just purely because everything they do is they know about the sport. No disrespect to Anderson Silva because he's got big cojones getting in there with a young fresh man at 50. So all respect to him. All respect to both men. At the end of the day, they got in there and they had a good fight, and that's it.
Okay, just a small correction. It doesn't change your point. 47, 48, tomato, but I don't want to make Anderson feel too old. Is there any part of you that feels like I just said before you came on, the Jake that fought Tyron Woodley in August of last year, the first fight, loses that fight on Saturday. I think he gasses out. He probably gets knocked out. So I was impressed, the gas tank, that he went the distance. Was there any part of you that was like, okay, he has shown some improvement since last year?
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he's bound to be getting, better and better because, he's got money to spend on, trainers. He's got money to spend on sparring partners. And, if he's taking it as seriously as he says he's doing, he should be improving. I can't really say that the improvements are very drastic because I know as a professional boxer myself and being around it all my entire life and coming from it, the only way you can get better at being a boxer is by getting in there and actually having fights. Now, Jake Paul, I think that was his 6 fights or something like that.
Yep.
He's not had any amateur fights. So, he is slowly improving, but it's going to take a long while for him to get to any level as a boxer because the only way you can get better is by getting in the ring and having those fights. And it's the same for myself. I could be as good as I want in the gym, but when you get underneath the lights, it's different. If we all learn as quick as we do in the gym, everyone will be a world champion by now. You only learn by getting underneath the lights in front of a crowd and having the fights. And he's only had 6 fights. But listen, there's not too much I can say on the man. You know, he's getting in there, he's doing what he's doing. But in respect to being a boxer and doing anything as a boxer, I think he's got a very long way to go.
By the way, going into the fight, who did you think was going to win?
Oh, I said even before the fight, you know, I don't know if the footage has been released yet, but I was filming upcoming fight, and they asked me the same question, and I said Jake Paul. You know, I always knew Jake Paul would win this fight purely because, you know, no matter what anybody says, anybody who's old competing out there saying age is just a number. No, age is age for a reason, and it catches up with you. And a 50-year-old man cannot do the same as what he did when he's 24, 25. And you've seen that on Saturday night. You know, Anderson Silva, he was getting gassed himself. You know, as a very experienced man in fighting, he was getting gassed himself, and that's purely because the man's 50 years old. I think he done a remarkable job for getting in there and going the distance. I think he done very, very well. But I knew Jake Paul win because he's the younger, fresher man, and you know, youth beats old age any day of the week.
Now, we all remember this past summer, I was supremely excited to see you versus him at MSG. I think the fans were. I'd heard that the pre-sale went great, was en route to smashing records. Why didn't it happen, Tommy? What can you tell us about why it didn't happen?
It's already out there, you know, for why that fight didn't happen. I mean, I was on my way to New York with my full team that morning at the airport, and I got, not today. Sorry, sir. And it's still the same answer today. I cannot get into America. Even right now, I cannot go to America. Let's just forget the boxing talk. America's my favorite place to go. The food, the weather, everything, the people. I love America. I love everything to do with America. And it stopped me from going there. You know, in my own personal life, you know, me and the missus love going to New York around Christmas. Can't do that. You know, we can't do a number of things now. So boxing is just not what, you know, that has affected. But that is still the same right now. I cannot enter America, and that is exactly why the fight didn't happen. If I could and was able to be in the country, that fight would have happened, and you wouldn't have been hearing about Jake Paul anymore.
Why can't you get into America?
It's through, you know, I can't really speak on it because it has nothing to do with me, you know. The matter of what's going on, you know, ongoing at the minute, it really is nothing to do with me. So therefore, I can't really speak on it because, like I said before, I have no idea, you know, why my name has got caught up in this. And it's a mess at the end of the day. I've still got lawyers working on it at the minute. But I don't feel like I know anything about the situation to comment or give comment. I think my name's just got, you know, tangled up in things along the way. You know, things have been said and things have been mislaid and stuff like that. And I think it's all just been put a block on it. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, the situation that's going on, I'm pretty sure some people are aware of it and that's looked into it. You know, and me and Tyson just can't get in America at the minute, and that's just the way it is.
I understand it's a very sensitive topic, and saying anything could affect it. So, you know, I won't put you in an uncomfortable position. Obviously, I know what you're referring to, the Kinahan situation, and hopefully it gets resolved for you so that you can move along with your career. I'm just wondering, do you have any sense when this could be over? Like, do you think maybe after this this fight on November 13th, come next year, could you come to the States, or are they telling you it's an indefinite thing? Do you have any idea?
I don't know, honestly, and that's what I pay my lawyers for, and you know, my legal team every day. You know, they're sorting it, and I said to them, please get this resolved, you know, as soon as possible. And that's where I've left it at the moment. You know, I'm hoping it gets, you know, resolved ASAP because, you know, I want to come to America, not just for boxing, just for everything else in my day-to-day life. And of course, for the big one, to get this fight over the line. But if it's not resolved, and if it doesn't get resolved for a long time, you know, I can't speak on that. I don't know how long this is going to take. But so let's say it's a long time. Let's get it on over here. I'm not, you know, I'm not interested where I fight. I'll fight that man wherever. I'm not bothered. You know, if I could get there, this would have been all done and settled. But I am ready to go, honestly. I'm not overlooking Paul Bamba, my next opponent, because I treat every fight like it's a world title fight, and I train as I do accordingly. And so I've got to get through business on November 13th, and I am ready. You know, I've said this all along. You don't have to call me out. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to try and build a fight. I'm here. And all these people that's been saying I've been running for these past 2 fights, they don't know the half of it. You know, the last time was not my fault. It was legal. It was to do with law, you know, and nobody's above the law. Let's just put it that way. The first time what happened, 3 weeks to go till the fight, broke rib, you know, and I've put scans out there. I've put doctors, things out there. I've done everything I can. I want this fight. There is no reason why I wouldn't want this fight. I'm sitting here right now, comfortably telling you and all the viewers, I will beat Jake Paul. Everyone going on about this YouTube boxing and whatnot. You're looking at the king of MMA, and I'm not even a YouTube boxer. But of all my names been passed to and fro, this the KSI's, Jake Paul, I will flog them all on the same night. So I'm comfortably sitting here saying, why wouldn't I want this fight? For everyone out there thinking I'm running scared, I don't want this fight. Why not? It's a great big money fight for me, great exposure, and an easy fight because I'm preparing in my career day in and day out in the gym to fight world champions, people who can put your lights out with a jab. That's what I'm preparing to fight. And you're asking me to go and fight Jake Paul. Not a problem. I've said this all along.
So if all goes well on the 13th for you, will that be, the mission for you and the team to try to make this? I actually think, and I haven't asked him this specifically, and I think it would give the fight and his career like a nice, interesting, fresh new layer to the upcoming fight if he traveled to the UK. And I understand he's somewhat popular. I know you're extremely popular over there. You guys fight in the UK. The crowds are great. I don't know, O2, pick a place. It would be fantastic theater. I think he would do it. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but I feel like he's crazy enough to do it. Will you try to make this happen for 2023? Are you going to try to resurrect those talks? And if your situation isn't cleared up here in America, maybe do the fight in the UK?
I'm very open to it, 100%. Let me handle business on November 13th and come through that. And then definitely, I'm not going to wait around for Jake Paul. That's one thing I'm definitely not going to do. I'm going to get on with my career, like I've always said. And if those fights happen, those fights happen. But am I welcoming a fight in the UK? 100%. We've got stadiums, open air stadiums over here, 90,000, 70,000.
Do you think it could draw that much?
Whatever you want. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I can't walk down the street for the past 2 years without anybody asking me the same question. When are you fighting Jake? When's this fight happening? I don't believe there's anyone in this country that wouldn't come to that fight. I think over here that would break all records because Jake is very popular over here. My popularity lies here in the UK. So yeah, I think definitely we could draw 70,000 for that. I've seen worse to draw for that. I mean, KSI drew 25,000 at the O2 Arena for a Mexican who I doubt he's even a Mexican after that performance, and a rapper. So I think me and Jake Paul can put on 70,000, 100%.
I heard him mention you as well. If you had your choice, which one interests you more? Because I know KSI is a huge deal in the UK as well. KSI or Jake Paul?
Both in the same night, preferably. Both in the same night, honestly. Let me tell you now, this is what I'm going to say. And, I haven't really spoke on the Jake Paul situation much over these recent months, but when you see me get in the ring with one of these guys, I don't know who it's going to be first, whether it's KSI or Jake Paul, you will see the definition of an easy night. You will see why I've been saying what I've been saying. These guys can't fight. Honestly, it's like me dragging someone off a white-collar event, someone who's just started amateur boxing and asking them to come in the gym and spar. There's levels to this game, and people have to understand that. And I know I'm not at any sort of level myself in my career. I'm only 8 fights in, number 9 coming up. But I'll tell you what, I've been around it my entire life. I had amateur fights, I won titles as an amateur. And honestly, it plays a big part. And you will see that with whoever I get in the ring with first.
Who's better in your opinion, Jake or KSI?
I've got to say it. Jake is better than KSI. KSI, honestly, I think my mother could knock out KSI in a round.
What?
Yeah, I'm telling you. When I watched him fight them 2 men, I wasn't even looking at the 2 men because they're useless. I was looking at him and what he does as a boxer. He can't fight. There's some people in this world that are rough and ready, can fight with no training, whatever. He can't fight. You look at KSI, and I don't see a fighting man. I see a pretender, plays FIFA on YouTube, whatever he's famous for. I don't see anything. And I think with both men, when these fellas when they get it sticky and tough in the ring, and they take a few good shots, I'm not talking about a slapping uppercut off a 50-year-old man that glazed him. I'm talking about a proper right hand straight down the pipe and the wobbled and legs go. I want to see the true colours, and that'll tell me a lot. But I can see a man and I can judge him very well. And the moment that happens to either one of them two, they're going to look for a back door or they're going to look for a knee. They're going to look for a way out. And that's the difference between me and them.
When you hear Jay call out Canelo in the ring, I don't know if you heard the post-fight interview, but if I'm sure you've heard him talk about Canelo. What do you think?
Clickbait. Viewers. Getting himself talked about. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Jake Paul talking about him. He's made a living off getting people to talk about him. He's not a stupid man. He's a very clever man. He'll mention the big names. Canelo's one of the biggest names in boxing. And of course, he's mentioned him for a reason. He gets people talking. And that's exactly what he wants. But what do I take that seriously? Not at all. No, I think the day. I think it'll be very, very, very far in the future when Canelo's retired, done with boxing, that we'll see Canelo in the ring with Jake Paul. If it ever happens, I just think it's, a name for Jake Paul to throw out there. I don't believe it'll happen one day. The McGregor stuff maybe because he's another MMA guy. But I don't know. Jake Paul, how much can you really take serious of him? I don't think a lot.
You versus him, how long does it last?
However long I want it to last. But honestly, I'll tell you this now, yeah. The first clean shot I land, and I'm talking about clean shot, the first clean shot that lands, he will be on the deck. And he will not get up. Because I've been around fighting all my life, and I've sparred, and I've fought people, these journeymen that I've been fighting, and the recent guys that I've been fighting, they've been getting hit down all the head, up and down in the head, all the lives. And I guarantee, when I connect on him with 10-ounce gloves on, he's going down and he's staying down because he's not a fighter. Trust me, if everyone wanted to pick up boxing at 22 and 23 and 24 and talk about being a world champion, I think everyone would. There's champions in the sport are very, very rare. And some guy who's just come along off YouTube wanting to throw his hands in it and whatever like that, for him to succeed, it's going to take a very special individual. And all these ones that talk and disrespect and this and that, they end up, can't fight. Floyd Mayweather said it best. The moment Jake, while he's fighting MMA guys, he's going to look incredible. He's going to look like the dog's bollocks. He's going to look like he can stand a chance with anyone. But the minute he gets in there with half a fighter, everyone will see the true colours of Jake Paul. And that's the truest thing that I've heard all this over the past 2 years.
And you don't think a 47-year-old Anderson is better than like some 1-12 guy that a typical 5-0 boxer would fight? You despite the age, you don't think that? No?
No, because honestly, and let me speak from experience, these guys that you see, these journeymen, they might be 0-70, let's say. They might have won 2 fights in 50. But I'll tell you what they have been. They've been in there with Olympic gold medalists. They've been in there with national champions. They've been in there with every sort of amateur champion. They've been in boxing fights 70 times plus. And the role of a journeyman, for people who don't know out there, they show up and they get paid and they don't have any ambition to win because their ambition is to fight the following week to get a payday to support the family. Now, these guys, they've been in there, they've took the shots around the head. And I guarantee Jake Paul could not stop an average journeyman because they've been in there that many times with prospects. They know how to cover up. They know how to get through the fight. They know how to survive because they've been there. They've been getting smashed to pieces by prospects. They know how to get through a fight. And Jake Paul wouldn't know how to open him up because he hasn't got that experience. And people that know about boxing will understand perfectly what I've just said there. And I couldn't have put it any better.
So November 13th, you return to action. Mayweather Deji, it's on DAZN here in America. Do you feel like you need, to kind of put an exclamation point on this performance? Because I really do think this fight could happen next year, and you get on the microphone, you call him out, like, let's go, Tommy, let's make this. I feel the fire in you coming through the screen right now. Is that part of the plan here? Go out there, smoke this guy, get on the microphone. Jake, let's do it. See you in the UK in March, April, whatever it is, and let's finally make this happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm going out there November 13th. I'm not looking for no points win or faffing about. I'm going over there to do a demolition job. I've put myself in the hardest of training camps with Tyson up in Morecambe for weeks and weeks on end. I've been sparring him for this fight because he's the best southpaw in the world, obviously. And I've got a southpaw on the 13th, so what better sparring? I'm in amazing condition. And I'm ready to go out there and put on a hell of a performance. And I don't need to call out Jake Paul for this fight. I think you put a poll out there who wants to see me and Jake Paul. It's 100% yes. Everyone wants to see this fight because if Jake Paul and KSI didn't have to fight me, they wouldn't. They have to fight me to prove that they are a legitimate boxer. They have to. There is nobody else with my following and my exposure with 8 fights in. There's nobody. So if they want to be regarded as a boxer, they have to go through me. This fight between me and Jake does not need selling. And I'm definitely going to take care of business next year, whether that's in America or the UK.
I love it. Tommy, thank you as always for the time. Good luck to you on November 13th. And most importantly, my friend, early congratulations to you and the missus. I know you're expecting father. Nothing more exciting than that. Nothing better than that. No greater gift than that. I should have said that at the top, but I was very excited about your T-shirt, so I got thrown off there. So I hope that she's feeling good, and I wish you guys the best with the upcoming birth.
Thank you very much. Means a lot. God bless. And stay safe. Take it easy, guys.
Good luck to you. There he is, Tommy Fury joining us. He's fired up. I got to say, he's getting me excited. I was excited over there. I feel like there's a real chance. Everyone's talking about the Nate Diaz situation, the Nathan Diaz situation. Here's what you have to remember. Still not free from the UFC and their exclusive negotiation period until mid-December. And then they can match any offer. So I don't think that they're going to, go quietly into the night. And also, worth remembering, every time you think that Nate is going to take the fight that you think he's going to take, he doesn't take it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in a different direction. I wouldn't be surprised if he, tries to get one fight under the real fight umbrella and then wins that fight and then looks to a Jake Paul, something like that. So don't think that is fait accompli. I actually think there's a very good chance if Tommy looks good that that's the fight that we see, in early 2023, first quarter of 2023. Now, if you didn't like the Jake Paul fight for whatever reason, and that wasn't really your thing, I hope you watched earlier in the day when the greatest female boxer in the history of the sweet science went to work and did her thing and won rather convincingly once again and rather dominantly once again and proved once again that she is the greatest right now and the greatest of all time. She's the number one pound-for-pound queen in boxing. She is the undisputed lightweight champion. She defended successfully once again her 4 titles, and she proved once again why she is the best, and she proved once again why she needs to fight at home. An honor to now speak to Katie Taylor after her win. This is a first for all of us. Let's go and say hello to Katie once again. Hello, Katie. How are you?
How's it going? Thanks again for the lovely introduction.
Always for you, Katie. Congratulations on the win. So lovely to have you on a Monday after one of your big victories. So thank you so much for making some time. Usually, like I joked last time, usually you disappear. So this is a real treat for us. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess this is my victory tour that you were talking about the last time.
Yes, this is it. So how do you feel about what you did out there on Saturday? Were you happy with your performance?
Yeah, it was. I definitely boxed really well at times in spots. It wasn't a perfect performance, but a very, very. I thought I won every round, and I thought it was a great display of boxing on Saturday night. I was happy enough, and just a great night overall. 22 fights, 22 wins, and still undefeated. So I can't complain.
Why wasn't it perfect? I thought you won every round convincingly. Why, in your mind, wasn't it perfect?
It was a lovely display of boxing at times and spots, but I would have liked to have had a cleaner performance at times as well. But I'm always my biggest critic, I think, and I think that's obviously a good thing. You want to just continue to improve. A great performance overall, but there's definitely spots to improve on. She's
a bit of an awkward fighter, right? Tall, lanky. Did you feel like she was a little bit awkward to fight?
Yeah, she was definitely very awkward, really tall, long arms, like you said, and she's definitely a lot tougher than I expected as well. Every time I did catch her with a clean shot, she came back fighting. So she obviously wasn't stepping in there unbeaten for no reason. She was very, very game. And she was obviously a tough South American fighter, and she had a lot of pride in there. So all credit to her as well.
Nice on a Monday to not, I know you said that you bruise easily, but wasn't the war that you went through in April. I would imagine you're feeling pretty good after Monday as opposed to the Monday after the Serrano fight.
It's definitely a lot different today rather than some other fights I've been involved in. I came out fairly unscathed and unharmed. A few little marks, but nothing to worry about.
I know you are asked this question, and you were asked this question leading up to the fight, but now that it's over, I'm wondering if the response is any different. Coming off a fight of that magnitude in April and then coming into this one where your opponent isn't as well known and maybe the stakes aren't as high, do you ever find yourself searching for motivation and ever feeling like you are lacking it because it's not the name and the stakes?
No, I actually don't find it difficult to motivate myself at all. I was obviously headlining the show, which is a big deal. I knew there's going to be a lot of Irish people in the crowd as well, and it's important to come through these fights in a great fashion as well. So every single fight's important, and it's obviously so important to keep winning. If I didn't win on Saturday night, the big fights won't happen. The big homecoming fight next year, for example, wouldn't have happened if things went badly on Saturday night. So every single fight's important, and I just want to keep proving why I feel like I'm the best in the world.
And what about, your star is so bright right now. We talked about how you were on that list, most marketable athletes and whatnot. Did you feel, and despite the fact that maybe she wasn't the biggest name, but a lot of pressure, I feel like now on you to keep this going, especially coming off of that fight. Did it feel like there was more pressure on your shoulders coming off the last performance?
There's definitely a lot of pressure in a fight like that when the odds from you are so high. I mean, I don't know what the bookies had it, but everyone obviously expects me to blow through these girls. So there's obviously always a huge pressure fight in that situation. But it's also a great position to be in as well, as when you're at the top of your game, when people expect you to win, when you're headlining these big shows. I can't complain. It's just a great position to be in, and I love that pressure. I think it would be unusual if I didn't feel that pressure at this stage. I think I perform better when I am under pressure, and this is the sort of situation I want to be in.
I think we all appreciate your humility so much. I was thinking back to our chat on Tuesday of last week, and you gave us like a rare glimpse into your confidence as well when you said something like, anyone who considers me an underdog going into a fight, referring to the last one, you're crazy. I'm paraphrasing here. And I love that. I was like, I wish I could hear more of that from Katie, but we know it's down there. You just won't always say it. And so I like the fact that you came back. Sometimes people were saying, she's lacking motivation or she fights down to the opponents. I thought you reminded everyone that even though you are, a massive favorite going into this fight, there are levels to this game and you are so far ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, well, thanks, earlier. But yeah, I mean, I might not be always the most vocal boxer in the world, but I do feel like my mentality and my drive is second to none. And every single time I step into the ring, I believe that I will prove to people why I am the best. And I'm definitely a quiet person in general, but that drive I have and my mentality is definitely, I think, on another level.
I love the post-fight interview afterwards, and I love the fact that both you and Eddie seem so certain that Ireland is going to happen next year. On this Monday now, because now the dust is settling a little bit, do you feel like you can say with 100% certainty that your next fight will take place in Ireland?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're already in talks for Croke Park, like we said,
Wow.
the biggest stage in Ireland. We're hoping it's going to be set for April or May sometime, and I think it is going to be a complete sellout. And can you imagine 80,000 people at one of the biggest? It's incredible. I was even going for a walk. I'm at home right now in Ireland. I was going for a walk just in my local town, and I think every single person stopped me telling me that they're going to buy tickets to the Croke Park fight. People seem to be very, very excited about it. And I think it will be the biggest event in women's boxing history, one of the biggest events of boxing that you could possibly see.
I mean, I'm getting chills with you just telling me that. I was at Connor's fight in Ireland at the 3 Arena, and there were 10,000 people there. It felt like there were 100,000 people there. I can't imagine what the scene will be like for you. And so you say April, May, you think it's a done deal. Does the opponent even matter? Because I don't think the opponent matters. I really think you versus me sells that place out, and that would be a rather one-sided affair for you, obviously. Does the opponent matter at all?
I don't think the opponent matters either. It would obviously be great if it was a rematch, but there's definitely, like I said, no shortage of big fights out there. Any fighter between 130 pounds to 140 pounds, I'd be happy to step into the ring against. And any one of those fights would sell out, I think. I do want to be involved in the biggest fights possible and the most exciting fights possible. That's just in my nature. I want the tough tests. I want the toughest challenges. But I do believe that any fight would sell.
So I didn't ask you about this last week, but I'm wondering now, and I'm worried about this a little bit. Obviously, I agree the biggest fight would be the Serrano rematch. But as you may know, Eddie Hearn and your old friend Jake Paul have a little bit of an issue right now between them. Are you worried that this potential legal issue will preclude the fight from happening? Because I heard Eddie talk, kind of dismiss it. So I was like, oh, maybe it won't. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of what's going on there, but they definitely need to sort their problems out for this fight to happen.
Yes.
So whatever's going on, they need to obviously sit down together and then speak and talk about it. And it would be an awful shame if the rematch didn't happen because of that. They just need to be bigger men and do what's right for boxing. And if that is what's in the way of making the rematch happen, they definitely need to obviously sort that out. But I agree. I do believe it is the biggest fight out there still, and there is still such a huge appetite, obviously, for that fight. The first fight was huge, but I can only imagine what the rematch would be like. It will be even bigger than the last one, and I do believe that that's the only thing that would top Madison Square Garden is headlining a huge show here in Ireland. 80,000 people, and I think it's exactly what myself and Amanda Serrano deserve. But if that fight obviously doesn't happen, like I said, there are still big fights out there.
Do you think she wants it?
I believe so. I mean, she said after the fight that she did want it. So the ball is obviously in their court if they want it. But if you don't want it, we obviously have to move on and look at different options.
Do the titles do the titles that you have and there's mandatories that come with those titles? Do they sometimes stunt your growth? Like sometimes you have to take these fights that may be viewed to the public as beneath you because you have to defend the titles and they're mandatories. Like, do you worry about that at all? Is that something that like in some ways like shackles you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't worry about it too much. I obviously love the hold on to the undisputed title, and I think the belts are very, very important for me. Now, I have worked so hard to get to this position, so sometimes it is just necessary to fight the mandatories. But I also know that those fights could be banana skin opponents as well. So you have to be motivated. You have to be. You just can't go into those fights complacent. But once you come through those fights, I think it is a great preparation for the bigger fights as well. It is still important to stay active in the sport, and like Sugar Ray Leonard used to say, inactivity is the biggest sin of boxing. It is so important just to stay sharp and to have regular fights coming up.
And just to be clear, there's no chance Croke Park or that neighborhood says, no, we can't do it, and then you're at like 3 Arena or something like that. With all due respect to 3 Arena, I think you have outgrown that by leaps and bounds. There's no chance that happening. Like if you're fighting in Ireland next year, it's at Croke Park?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the locals around are very happy for that fight, for my fight to go ahead as well. They're all in favour of it. So we are genuinely in talks right now with Croke Park for the fight to happen.
Wow.
The thoughts of it is just so exciting for me, and this is just incredible. And we're obviously going to have a huge undercard in the fight as well. There's so many Irish fighters, even from Saturday night, like Gary Cully, who knocked out his opponent in 30 seconds. He's a huge prospect in the lightweight division. These kind of fighters who are going to be on the undercard, it's going to be a phenomenal night for Irish boxing.
By the way, on a Monday, could you give us a glimpse into your life? Like when you walk outside now, are you just being bombarded with people coming up to you? What is that like, and how do you deal with it? Are you comfortable with it?
I mean, I obviously live a very, very quiet life, but after Saturday nights, when it's always very, very fresh in people's memory, and they go for a walk just along the seafront this morning, and genuinely, every single person will stop me, just congratulate me, and just tell me how excited you are about the prospect of me fighting at Croke Park, and I think it's going to be a sellout very, very quick, and just the support is so humbling, to be quite honest, and people are so nice, and I'm so grateful.
And just curious, I know we talked a little bit on Tuesday, but now that the Saturday fight is over, if it's not Amanda, do you have an option 2 in your perfect world?
Yeah, you want from like I said, 130 pounds to 140 pounds. I'm very, very happy to fight big fights out there in those divisions, and I'm ready and willing to step into the ring with any of those girls.
And in Ireland, where would that fight air? Would that be like forgive me for not knowing, but like, is that a DAZN fight, or is this something that would be like on, like some sort of terrestrial like, I feel like the entire country will stop when this happens. Do you have any idea where this will air?
I assume it's going to be on DAZN, but I don't know if our local or national broadcaster is RTE, so I don't know if it's going to be on RTE or not. But that's that would be fantastic if it was so accessible to everybody here. But that's not. I don't know.
That's the business side. That's the channel that airs the Late Late Show with the toy episode and all that, right? Yes.
You're so excited about the Late Late Show.
I love it. I love it. My dream is to be on it as well. If they want me on the toy show, I'd be happy to fly over for it. It's just tremendous. There's nothing wholesome like that over here. We don't have that type of programming in America. So I think it's tremendous. And when you come on with the little kids and they're all excited to meet you, it's amazing. And it's a glimpse into the connection that you have with your country mates. It's just amazing how, I don't know if we even have anyone like you in our country here, America as well, that is so revered, so loved. Like no one says anything negative about you. You are one of the only people honestly, like I go on Twitter, I get a ton of hate. I don't know if anyone hates you. Do you ever feel hate? Do you ever get annoying trolls? Do you ever sense any of this? Because I don't see anyone ever saying a negative thing about you on any platform anywhere in the world.
Yeah, no, I definitely get my hate.
You do? Who's hating you? It's like hating puppies.
I definitely get my fair share of criticism as well, but that's why I never look at any comments on social media. For example, I think it's the worst thing you can do, isn't it? Is to read negative comments about yourself. But for the most part, it is very, very positive, obviously, and yeah, I'm just very, very grateful. But yeah.
And your work ethic is unmatched. Like obviously you always come in tip-top shape. Now that fight is over and you can kind of come down a little bit, do you like to do anything to take your mind off of boxing, or are you the type of fighter who's back at the gym today and you're just like, obviously you're not training for a fight, but like do you never step away?
I never step away too much. I think that's the worst thing you can do, really, for me anyway. After a few days, I feel like I forget how to box. So I need to obviously I just love being in the gym. Genuinely love being in the gym and training hard. But I'm actually home for a few weeks now in Ireland, and it's just great to spend a bit of time with family. I've been in Connecticut, obviously training for the fights for the last few months, and this is a special time for me. Just taking it easy and relaxing with family, my nieces and my nephews, and it's just a fantastic time.
By the way, do you happen to have that date off the top of your head? I just want to clear my schedule so I could be over there. Do you know specifically when it will be?
You'll have to speak to my manager about that, okay. Brian.
All right, fair enough. Is there a date though?
There's no date right now, but April or May sometime, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's apparently the whole month of May is free for Crow Park, so I think it's looking likely that month. Okay,
lovely weather in Ireland that time of year, right? So perfect, open air. No, is it not lovely? Is it still cold in May?
We get good and bad days. The weather in Ireland is unpredictable, so you never know. But regardless, it's going to be a phenomenal night.
Well, I can't wait for it. I can't wait to be there. I will be there even if I have to swim over, because that is a scene that I want to experience. Delighted for you. Congratulations once again on an unbelievable performance. And thank you so much for doing this, for coming on. I know you don't do a lot of these, so it really means a lot.
No problem, Ariel. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, talk to you soon. There she is, the one and only Katie Taylor. I mean,
best interview ever.
Isn't she the best? I mean, what can you say? Honestly, up there with my favorite athletes on the planet right now.
I'm right there with you.
Isn't she just the best? You just want the best for her. And what a scene that will be. And I will be there. I don't care if I'm working. I don't care if I'm covering it. I don't care if I just buy a ticket and am in the stands watching it. I need to experience that. Seeing Conor's fight at the 3 Arena in Dublin back in 2014 was one of the greatest experiences of my career. Just seeing the passion. The Irish fans are unlike any. I need to see that. I've been hearing so much about Croke Park as it pertains to Conor's career. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. Maybe we'll get it down the line. Who knows? Maybe this opens the door for that. I need to see Katie Taylor fight at Croke Park. Did you hear that crowd on Saturday? I think it was 9,000 people at Wembley. Sounded like it was 50,000 people. And they're singing, they're dancing. They're in England. They're not in Ireland. I know it's not too far away, but they're not in our home country. You would think if you're just watching it, flipping through, whatever, if people still flip through channels, flip through platforms, you would think that they were in Ireland. They weren't. And so that scene where the prodigal daughter returns home to fight in front of her people. She's never fought as a pro. In front of her people, in her country, in this epic, historic venue, is going to be incredible. And could you imagine for a moment if it is the Amanda Serrano rematch? We were all there at MSG. It was unbelievable scenes with Eddie Hearn involved, with Jake Paul involved, with their simmering feud. If they could put that aside, and again, as I said last week, the women are showing the men that they can make fights happen in boxing. They are showing them, again, this weekend, we've got McCaskill fighting. They are all fighting big fights. These two guys need to put their issues aside. They need to put their issues aside, and they need to make the fight happen. For all of us. For the world. For sports fans. For Ireland. They need to make this fight happen. For Puerto Rico. For New York. They need to make the fight happen. Make it happen. Beautiful May. Croke Park. I'll see you all there. It would be tremendous theater. Now, I do want to let you know something very exciting. Got word that at 3:30, Frank, do we have breaking news? 3:30, we're going to be joined by Jake Paul. Jake Paul is going to step in and join us, perhaps respond to Tommy Fury. 3:30, Jake Paul going to join us right after Sean O'Malley. So this very exciting show just got a little more exciting. That's at 3:30. Mark your calendars. He'll be our last guest of the day. Now, quick word from our sponsors before we... And is GC back? I felt bad that we couldn't get him in there.
Yeah, we didn't just leave him.
Okay, I was worried about all of that. Quick word from our sponsors. A lot of sponsors here. And then I want to check in with GC and get his thoughts on the fight. But first, NBA fans, basketball is back. Tip off the season with DraftKings Sportsbook. Well, I like the music. Very apropos. NBA is back. NFL is back. Big win for your Buffalo Bills last night, my friends. Official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. In addition to the usual bets, everyone can boost their winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. With payouts bigger than ever, DraftKings Sportsbook is the place to go to bet on the NBA. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code TheMMAHour. Make any $5 bet this week and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Pick the Knicks. Trust me, that's code TheMMAHour only at DraftKings Sportsbook. I know New York Rick wants to say something about last night. We're not going to let him. Please mute his microphone. Now, another thing to tell you all about, our good friends over at the Beard Club are a member of the family, and today's episode is brought to you by the Beard Club. These guys exist for a very simple reason. Growing a beard is easy. You can literally do it in your sleep. But keeping it neat, healthy, and looking great takes a lot of work. And the Beard Club delivers the tools you need to keep your beard in fighting shape with quality hardware, styling products, growth oils, and more. Frank loves them. They even sent me a few things. They've got their shave butter, their oils. I've got very sensitive skin. It's all fantastic. Silky smooth, fresh. Shout out to them. I love it. So give yourself the love that I give myself with the Beard Club. Go to beardclub.com/Ariel. beardclub.com/Ariel. Take their beard quiz. It's fun. Trust me. Use code Ariel, ARIEL, at checkout. They'll set you up with a full grooming kit that's perfectly tailored to your beard's needs. Grow your best beard today and take 20% off your first order when you go to beardclub.com/Ariel, ARIEL. Use code Ariel. That's beardclub.com/Ariel. Code Ariel for 20% off your first order. Please support them because they support us. Back to the guys here. Do you see you there? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, man.
I like it. You're not letting go.
Back. Yeah.
I felt bad. We left you on an island. You couldn't hear us anymore? What happened?
Yeah, so I heard you for like the first 30 seconds, and then, you guys cut out, and I realized you guys were tossing to me, and I was like, this is bad. I can't hear anything. You know, the studio I was in is a little bit separated from where we're at right now, so, it was a disaster.
And what do we got there? A fan going or what?
Oh, Frank said I wouldn't be able to hear it.
It's not that loud.
It's pretty loud.
I can turn it off.
I mean, at this point, you could just hold it up, right?
Literally not an issue.
It's funny that the audio guy thinks that the fan blowing into the microphone is not an issue.
It's really
It seems to be a theme with Frank.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
GC, what did you think of Saturday night? New York Rick and I spoke a little bit about it. We just heard from Tommy Fury, who was not impressed at all.
Wow, that fan was very
We lost the air on that quickly. I was impressed with Jake Paul. I mean, it looked like Anderson Silva was giving his all for the 8 rounds, and it just wasn't enough. And Jake Paul got it done. I mean, I don't know how you can walk away from that not impressed by him.
Man, I mean, if you're Tommy Fury, you're not impressed by him. I think that's pretty clear. What did you think of what he had to say, GC? New York Rick, sorry. I don't know what GC's doing over there. What's going on?
We're dealing with some text.
Okay.
I would have liked to see a little more vigor.
Really? I think
I
that's the
didn't
most
think
you're going to get out of Tommy.
Well, that's unfortunate, isn't it?
No, I mean,
That was not very
you thought he was too
definitive. I didn't
dismissive?
feel like that was a collision course. I'll say that.
Oh, I actually feel like I'm more excited now than I was. Really? Oh, wow.
Tommy Fury is so boring.
Oh, man.
So boring.
Frank, Joe, call up Tommy Fury again.
He's
Better-
actually still on the
Look,
line.
Oh, perfect.
That's fine. You could show. He's just boring. He doesn't.
Okay, so
have it. He
so
has
you
the
don't want to
charisma
see
of a
it.
tree stump.
You don't want to see it.
No, I mean,
Who's your
I'll
pick?
watch
Who's your pick?
Oh, come on, stop.
Is it Nate?
Oh, who's my pick to fight?
Yeah.
I thought you meant if
No.
they fight.
Yeah.
I'm obviously going with Jake if they fight. I would
Obviously,
rather see Nate.
What are the lines, by the way, on that?
I want to say it opened at Jake Paul minus 260
Wait,
Yeah, because
versus Nate or versus Tommy?
versus Nate. He was like minus 225.
Yeah, but
against
what's it
Tommy.
versus Tommy? Because everyone says, boxer. You think that he beats Tommy easily?
I think Anderson Silva beats Tommy easily.
Wow. He said he finishes him however he wants. Whenever
I'm
you
sure
want.
he does say that. Look, Tommy Fury just hasn't been that impressive.
He's not that guy?
I would confidently back Jake Paul in that one as somebody who just picked against him.
All right, so if you're Nikisa and Jake, who are you picking? Because, that's another thing to note that I think pisses people off. They think he picks his opponents. Well, guess what? So did Floyd Mayweather. I mean, you reach a point, you pick your
Tommy
opponent.
Fury in the UK, you do that fight. 100%.
Next?
Yeah. It would be big. There's no reason not to do that.
Not Nate.
Fight. When's Nate going to be available?
That's the thing.
If Nate's available at the same time as Tommy Fury, sure, do Nate. I think it's a bigger fight globally. Absolutely, not even a question. But if you can get one in with Tommy Fury right now in the UK, do it. Take that and run.
Who's your pick,
It's a fight.
GC?
I'd like to see Nate next.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the world would, right?
Who wins that fight?
Who
Jake
wants
Paul.
to see this Tommy Fury fight?
Wait,
I'm
how
wondering.
dare you say that?
Who are
Okay.
these people?
I want to see it. If only because then I want to hear what they say when...
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
He beat a
You know
boxer.
what they're
Yes.
gonna say.
Well,
You know exactly
No,
what
I
they're
actually
gonna
don't know.
say.
What are they going to say? What's the next thing?
Tommy Fury's a can. He's a bum.
So beat a
boxer.
different boxer.
Beat a different boxer.
Beat what?
Now,
Rahman?
until he beats Canelo. Until he fights.
This is never going to stop?
Canelo,
It's never going to
even if he
stop?
fought
Yeah, until he gets a
Floyd
real
Mayweather
belt.
right now, like his brother. I mean, think about it. His brother
Yeah.
literally fought Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Literally fought Floyd Mayweather, and there's excuses for that too, right? That there's
Yeah.
he deserves no credit for this. This is a self-perpetuating cycle. This will never end, and there will never be a way that he gets credit as a legitimate boxer.
Wow.
Do you think there is? Do you see, based on how impassioned you were just about like the Twitter vitriol and the
Yeah.
fact that they're making up these excuses,
No.
creating fake narratives, you think there's an end to this? That
No,
we
no.
just go,
If-
you know what? He did it. He beat Tommy Fury. He beat the boxer. That's the guy. Quite frankly, I would give him a hell of a lot more credit if he beat Hasim Rahman Jr. A hell of a lot more. Because I think he's a better boxer
Right.
than Tommy Fury.
But then, even with Rahman, the excuses were starting before the fight. He just got knocked out.
It's
just-
never going to end.
Oh,
This-
my
this will never
God.
end. By the way,
Shoot
can
me
we
in the
just stop?
brains.
I was curious.
Yeah.
What earlier when you were doing the DraftKings promo,
Yeah.
you said that I might have something to say. What were you talking about?
Stop it.
Stirring that
Literally
pot.
in the back, he started talking.
I know. I knew
I was
it.
afraid
knew
that
it.
his mic was open.
I knew it.
What were you talking about?
Listen, you guys, I've already said the Cavs are better than the Knicks. I think the Cavs, I actually got hate when I said top 3, and people were like, oh, what are you talking
They
about?
look good, man.
Yes.
Donovan Mitchell looks like an MVP.
They're
caliber
incredible.
player right now.
They're incredible. No, I mean, honestly, they're actually very likable, too. Like, they're a fun team to watch.
Good vibes.
Yeah.
Good vibes team.
Yes.
For sure.
They're incredible. They're way better than the Knicks.
Cavs, baby.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm curious to see how this plays out. And we're going to hear from Jake. So I'm curious to see maybe 2 days later what's on his mind. Again, I will just say this. I don't think Jake versus Nate is a done deal. And by the way, I was in the back there. So they bring me to the back to interview Anderson Silva. I was doing 3 jobs, which was a lot of fun. And a couple times I was actually right about to interview, like after I'm skipping here, but when Ashton fought and he knocked out his guy in the first round, I was in between the first and second rounds. I'm supposed to interview Anderson in the back. Those are live. I don't know why we didn't pre-tape them, but that's the way they do it. Cool. So I'm standing next to Anderson, and then he gets knocked out. The dude gets knocked out in 30 seconds, so I have to be like, sorry, Anderson, and then I have to run back into the ring. There was a lot of running. Anyway, I'm going to the back to interview Ashton, and all of a sudden, a whole melee breaks out. Between the Diaz team and the Paul security team, and I saw some members of Paul's team, and drinks were thrown, like open drinks were thrown, not bottles, like, a cup, ice everywhere, water everywhere, whatever it was, everywhere, pushing going on. Like, it got pretty ugly. And I'm talking like, I think there's some footage out there of it a little bit. There was at least like 30 people involved here. Some members of the DS team who I'm cool with trying to call cap on me. Like, I was there, bro. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. I was in the back, and then they pulled me into the locker room because they didn't want me to get like trampled over. But I was like, I want to see this just in case I have to report on it. The one thing that I said that I guess drew their ire was that I said they weren't seen again because earlier in the night with the Chris Avila fight, they were all in the front row. Well, they went up to a suite. They were en route from the floor seats to the suite, and I guess they crossed paths, and it was a whole thing. That's why I didn't see them. They were up. So if you want me to clarify that, I did later on Twitter, but I didn't see them because they weren't sitting in their usual spot. Anyway, I feel like that would be a huge fight, but honestly, now that I'm seeing all this, fight a boxer stuff, I wonder if maybe the best bet is to wait, right? Like you pause it, you fight Tommy Fury or someone of that, cut from that same cloth, boxer, whatever. You check that box off, and then you do something else. And I also think that Diaz is going to be very cognizant of the fact that people are going to think that he left the UFC to fight Jake Paul. And I don't think he wants anything to do with that. That's why he's starting his real fight thing. And I think he's going to try to fight a couple of people or at least one person before entertaining that late next year.
So then, I mean, it sounds like the deck is set. Like we've got the hands now.
Well, what if Tommy loses to Paul Bamba?
Yeah, Bamba. Is there any chance Jake Paul is just like, nah, I'm done with Tommy Fury. I'm never going to take that fight.
It's too easy.
I guess we'll find out in an hour. But I think I will say this: when I did the fighter meeting with him, that's the meeting that you do for the broadcast. So it wasn't like reporting stuff. He did say he wants Tommy Fury, and he did say that he's open to the UK.
It's
okay. That answers that question.
Yeah, but that's before Anderson, right? So who knows what he's thinking after Anderson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't mind that. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury in the UK. He wins that, and then he goes and fights Nate Diaz.
Yeah, but what if
but
what if Nate fights someone else and loses?
Yeah, we were talking before the fight. You were talking about what if Jake Paul loses to Anderson Silva? Can you still do Nate? What if Nate Diaz just gets tuned up by some people, and then do you feel the same way about Nate Diaz? Because I don't. I feel like you can build Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz no matter if they're coming off a win or a loss. I don't think it matters.
Bigger fight: Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz versus Floyd Mayweather.
Nate Diaz versus Floyd Mayweather. Are we talking like? What do you mean by bigger?
Bigger fight. What draws
more?
What
do you mean by bigger?
What draws more?
Sells more
Yeah.
pay-per-view?
Pay-per-view, gate, all that
more
stuff.
People talk about on social media.
Just everything. Bigger.
Because they're different. Floyd Mayweather will sell more pay-per-views, and Jake Paul will be more talked about on social media.
Of more interest.
As an actual fight? As a competitive fight?
Yeah.
Jake Paul and Nate Diaz, because Floyd Mayweather
too small.
is way better than both of them.
Also small, though.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll take my chances with one of the greatest boxers of all time, no matter how small he is.
How do we do on Saturday, GC?
How did we do?
I mean, let's touch the parlay first. As we
have
get
to?
into
What is the streak at now?
Six straight losses. I don't know if we're ever going to hit another one again. I mean, it's
not with that attitude.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you guys
really.
you guys talk about this attitude all the time. We can.
What did we start at?
Good vibes.
We started 5-2. Here, let's get the graphic up. We are now 5-8 after starting at 5-2. We missed the Jacoby Roundtree fight. Doesn't go to the decision. Doesn't even matter because I would have missed the Alan Cater over 1.5. Twice now. My parlay pick has been ruined by injury. Aaron Pico a few weeks ago as well.
Wow. Yeah,
we're gonna hit another one eventually. I can't give out guarantees. Some guy asked me, he was just like, "What's the parlay for this week?" I was like, "Here it is. Tread lightly. We're on a bit of a cold streak right now, but because these are all like pretty heavy plus money, we're technically still up units, barely though. I want to say at one point we were up like 8 or 9 units. Now we're only up the one.
We're still in the green. That's all right. If you've been tailing, you're still winning.
My bets. if we want to get into these, I mean,
Shout out to Fabian Edwards, by the way.
Shout out to Fabian Edwards. I made this Halloween theme because the results are scary. Second worst night on record since we started the show.
Results are scary.
Worst night since November 13th of last year. Holloway Yair Rodriguez card. So it's been a while since we did this bad. I don't even know how I ended up with 11 bets on the night for this card and Silva Paul, but we got there, and I missed 7 of them, so didn't do well in the singles. Did even worse on the parlays, 0 for 2. The Cater Allen costing a lot, and then obviously our own parlay. So it ends up down 5.4 units. Tough pill to swallow. 4-7 on singles, 0-2 on parlays. We're down to 47 on the year. I mean, in retrospect, at the beginning in January, if you were like, yeah, and going into November, you're going to be up 47 units, I would have taken it in a heartbeat, just under 60 all time. So, we're still very heavily in the green, but these last 2 weeks have been pretty rough for sure.
You're the type of fighter who fights up and fights down. Big time card, you deliver. Crap card, you fight down to the competition. You're searching for things. You're lacking motivation. You're trying to manufacture
I like
stuff.
that. I like this.
That's what this was. This was
even though UFC Apex 62, I was up like 6 units.
Yeah, we didn't have to bring that up. I thought that.
I like this metaphor, though.
But 281, you're going to smash it.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. I think we're going to get back on the wagon this week. We're going to be
that's next week.
No. I think we're going to get back on the wagon this week as a little.
This card is worse.
Listen, we're going to keep it tight. We're going to keep it light. I'm talking
okay.
maybe
right.
2-3 singles, maybe 1-2 parlays. My guy Jelton Almeida's fighting. It's hard to have a bad week when he's getting in there. But yeah, so
you once told me not to manufacture, right? You once told me not to force it.
Yeah, never force it. That's kind of what I fell into. You win 9 straight weeks. You're like, everything I touch is gold. Not so much anymore. So yeah, it's time to dial it back in. We've been humbled off of UFC Apex 63 and we're on to the next one. Quickly, before we get to our next guest, just a few shout outs here.
Sure.
The Draft King, Nick Silva, gets it done in a big way. He cashes $100 on the week. And then some quick shout outs for the big hitters before we get to our next guest. Because, even when I'm not hitting, the people are cashing big tickets.
Yeah, baby. There it is. Oh, yeah. Make it rain. REIGN. Get it?
Yeah, we switch over from the safari hat with our now pitiful looking pterodactyl. Hopefully it's
pretty damn good.
Hopefully the costume goes better for your son this week. But here we go. We'll run through these real quickly. We start with our man, Almighty Glorge, plus 13,664. He goes Steve Garcia by knockout, who was an underdog, Junyoung Park by KO or submission, and Marcos Rogério de Lima. He turns 50 cents, not the biggest bet in the world, but still turns it into $69. That's pretty good. 2 loyal followers to the big hitters, two people that are always sending me tickets. Had to give them a shout out. Diehard MMA Pod, our guy Clint, and our man Mike Ryan. It's me, Mikey R09. Both were on Christian Rodriguez by submission. Fantastic calls. Plus 600 for Clint. And that's 1,400 for Mike. He gets the submission and first round plus 1,300, $10 into 140. Keep it rolling. Next up, Dennett, 28786 plus 5,766. Arnold Allen, Max Griffin, Waldo Cortez Acosta, Trayshawn Gore, Khalil Roundtree, Roman Dolidze. Pretty nice bet there. Had to be sweating, Khalil Roundtree, but that's neither here nor there. And then the last one, I hate to do this to us, Ariel, but it was just too cool of a bet. Calix, at Calix. I know. I see you squinting there. We'll go ahead and do it for the people. We'll zoom in. He's at the Arsenal Nottingham Forest game. He took the exact score.
Stop it.
5-0. And first goal scorer, Martinelli, 33-1. He turns $125 into $4,250, and he was at the game. That's a big hitter right there. I mean,
hey, they didn't do as well as Man City against us, so I'll take it. All right,
hey, I'll take it.
Never sing that.
Shout out to them. Congratulations. Welcome to Wrexham. Great show, by the way.
Oh yeah,
soccer.
Yeah. I can't wait to see that. Also, we beat Liverpool, so that means that we're better than Man City.
I mean, the season is won at this point.
Yeah, and Liverpool lost the lead, so they suck. All right, great stuff there, guys. Let's keep going with the guests. I had the pleasure of seeing this young man on all throughout fight week in beautiful Glendale in Arizona. We were just outside of Arizona, and he had a big night. Excuse me, just outside of Glendale. We were in Arizona. We were in a little neighborhood outside of Glendale. He had a big night on Saturday. His guy, Uriah Hall, with the big win on the Showtime pay-per-view card over Le'Veon Bell. He's one of the best coaches in the game in both MMA and boxing. He's Fortis MMA's own. He's the one and only Sayif Saud. He joins us right now via the Magic of Zoom. There he is. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How are we doing?
Oh, you turned? Yeah, that's better. Oh, now I lost you. Well, there I am. The mirror of death, as they say in the business. We'll get back.
Ariel.
Yeah, hi. How are you?
Good. We'll get him back.
It's very interesting when that happens, when someone drops off and then I show up.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I look pretty good.
Let's not go that far.
All right. But no, his guy, Uriah Hall, had the win over Le'Veon Bell. We had Chris Avila over Dr. Mike. I got to say, Dr. Mike, I mean, the absolute mensch of all mention. This guy is so nice, so kind, always a smile on his face, took a picture with my kids.
He's back.
It was just beautiful to see him. He fought his heart out. He didn't win the fight, but beautiful stuff. There he is. Safe's back. Hello, Safe. How are you?
Good. How are we doing, Ariel?
By the way, is it Sayif? Are people mispronouncing your name? No.
You said it right. It's safe. That's the correct pronunciation in Arabic. It means sword. So
Well, look at
safe
you.
like safe. That's how you say it. Yeah, you got it. You should know that.
I just wanted to make sure because, people anglicize names and whatnot. So I just wanted to make sure. So I'm happy we cleared that up.
I'm not one of those guys.
I know. I should have known. Congrats on a big night. Had a win at the Apex, had a win in Glendale. Let's talk about Uriah Hall. Obviously, there was a lot of intrigue because he walked away. He comes back. He's fighting a NFL guy, ex-NFL guy, whatever. What do you think of his performance out there?
Look, I thought it was great. I mean, we only had probably about 5 weeks to get ready for that. He was going through some stuff and kind of came off the couch really to get ready. And I watched the tape on Le'Veon and I knew that he was a little bit tougher than people were kind of giving him credit for, but I thought once he got hit that he would kind of crumble, but he did not do that at all. And it went 4 rounds and it was a good fight. I was really happy to see Uriah come away and win in a different sport and just kind of, have fun again. So it was a great weekend. And Trayshawn Gore, like you mentioned, had a big win, his first UFC win. We really wanted to kind of help that kid and get him a win. So it was a good weekend.
By the way, how often, especially lately, since you've been so busy, has it been where someone who has, where you've had to choose, basically, right? Obviously, you've been with Uriah a lot longer than Trayshawn. As you mentioned, he just kind of came to you guys recently, but where you couldn't be at someone's fight and you had to choose. Does that happen often these days?
It does. I mean, the thing is, when someone does a camp with us, I always want to be there to corner them. It's kind of like trying to send one of your warriors off to war and saying, "Hey, good luck, buddy," and just pat them on the head. I mean, they earn that right, for you to be there with them in the trenches when they put in the work. So, we really we haven't added anybody to the team, really in a while. Kennedy asked me, Trayshawn came to him and said, "Hey, I really, would love to talk to your coach." He was a little bit nervous when I first met him. He was like, couldn't get the words out. And then he wrote me a really nice message and said, "I really, admire you. I want to train. I want to learn." And I said, "Okay, you can come." And, Kennedy and these guys and Kennedy's cousin gave him a place to stay. They took care of him. I mean, I will put that out there that I did not charge him a dime for this camp. I told him, "I don't want anything from you. I just want effort. I don't want any of your purse. I don't want any percentages. I just want you to give me everything that you have, and I want you to win," because I knew that, man, to make it to the UFC, this is your dream. And getting the first UFC win is everything, right? I mean, from then on, it's okay, let me get ranked. But those are really far apart from each other. But getting that first UFC win, man, it stays with you forever. And, he had a couple losses and he had to win this fight. And it was just kind of a good deed that everyone from the camp just kind of rallied behind this kid. And and helped him and selflessly helped him. And I was just really happy to see that. I was in the locker room with Uriah screaming and yelling in the bathroom when I saw him lock that choke in. And I'm just happy for him. And, the UFC kind of picked up on how hard of a life he's had. And these moments mean a lot to these kids, man. It's a big damn deal. And I was just very proud to see it happen.
That is amazing. I was really curious to see how Uriah would be all week. And of course, on Saturday, obviously when I did the press conference with him, it was a little prickly at times, but I have to say, man, he was like one of the highlights of the week for me, starting with the face-to-face that we did. I don't know what changed. I'm sure you had a lot to do with it, but he was just in such a nice spot. Him and Le'Veon together were bonding over, one chapter of their lives coming to an end and coming together. It was just beautiful. And then his post-fight interview was beautiful. How would you describe where he's at now? Like now that this is over, because it seemed like a totally different guy than the one I spoke to 2 weeks ago.
The frustrating part for me is that he has such a beautiful side to his personality. And he's so intelligent, and I'm like, man, show everybody this side, and we all get hurt in life. We all get jaded. We all go through things, and, it's not easy. And Uriah touched on a lot of things this week. I thought he was fantastic. I thought he did a phenomenal job, communicating, and he's just so well-spoken, and at 38, you kind of have perspective, right? You're smarter than you were when you were 28. And, we talked about that. And I just think that it just really made me happy that everybody got to see that side of him, that lovable side. And, he engaged everybody, and it was just great. It was no matter what comes from it next, it was a great, great weekend for him. And I'm just happy that everybody saw kind of who he really is, because we know him in the media sometimes are
not the best of friends.
Yeah.
Do you want to see him continue to box?
I think Uriah with a camp, like a real camp, we had one guy that we helped him get ready with, Obi, who's one of my 85ers. And look, we're 2-0 in boxing right now. We've been fighting these running backs, 2-0 in boxing, and we're proud of that. Like, they say that we don't know about striking, and this isn't no slight on anyone else, but, Frank Gore was training at the boxing gym that had Cambosa there. They had it was a legit boxing gym. And they underestimated Darren. And, we were ready for that fight. And we study it. We study everything. And to think that we can't study boxing when we can study everything and win at it in MMA is a little silly, I think. So, yeah, man, maybe we'll get a boxing ring and we'll start doing boxing fights too. But look, again, it requires the right amount of focus. Uriah won that fight because Le'Veon, where he was in his career in that fight. But to fight guys that have boxed all the time, of course, you got to train harder and so on and so forth. We're not dismissing how hard it is, but I'm just saying we are capable as well. Even as an MMA gym, we are capable of not only competing, but winning.
Any difference for you as a coach, just working the corner, MMA versus boxing, or at the end of the day, once you get to that point, it's the exact same?
No, there's a difference. Judging has been a big controversy. I mean, that's a whole different road, but in boxing, to say that judging isn't a controversy, then you don't watch boxing.
Right.
I mean, you got to go in there and know that you just don't know what the hell's going to happen. And that's kind of accepted. So you really got to put a stamp on it. I mean, and that's just part of it. You remember when I said, what do you think, Ariel? I said, you think we're good? You go, this is the fight game, man. Yeah. I don't know. When you had the mic, right? And I thought that, Uriah did enough, but then you see people, he lost 1 and 3 and this and that. Uriah landed some hard shots on Le'Veon. He just ate him so well. I don't think that certain people saw it, but I saw it. His eyes showed it after. And I thought Uriah won the fight handedly, honestly. But you never know. So you've got to change the way that you corner a little bit, and you've got to really express how important it is for guys to close. And I do that in MMA as well. I just think that, instead of worrying about what the judges do, worry about what you do and just do more. And so it is a little bit different, but the judges, I felt like, got it right. And
sure.
It was.
By the way, fan of open scoring or not? As someone who has to work these corners and try to figure out what the judges are thinking.
I think that open scoring at this point has a lot more positives than negatives. And, people can say whatever they want, but it's progressively seeming to get worse, right? It's not progressively seeming to get better. So if it was getting better, let me tell you something. Let me give Nevada State Athletic Commission a ton of credit here.
Okay.
I was part of a Zoom call about 2 or 3 months ago with Jeff Mullins is now the new commissioner, and this guy is fantastic. I mean, he reaches out, hey, let's talk, let's chat. I had a fight that I was like, I got scored kind of weird. He goes, let me watch the fight, watches the fight, then meets with me and says, hey, this is what I thought about X, Y, and Z on Monday.
Wow.
You know? So, yeah. And what they did was they put together a panel. It was me, Eric Nixick, and John Wood. And it was all the judges. And I'm not going to say them all, but there were a lot of them. We did a Zoom call for like 2 hours, and we went through tape and we watched videos, and then we all scored the fights. And
wow,
it was a damn great step in the right direction. And it was a very productive phone call. And, you know, is it perfect? No, but it was a start. And I want to recognize Jeff and the Nevada State Athletic Commission for doing that. That being said, it was still pretty funky this weekend, and it's still pretty funky all the time. And, you know, us coaches, you know, Eric had some great questions, and John as well. And we're not there yet, man. We're not. And, you know, when a loss, you know, and I'm not going to get into Roundtree, Jacoby, that, and the other, but when a loss changes your trajectory of somebody's whole career, Jacoby was on a 7 or 8 fight streak, you know, and now, and he was a ranked fighter. So now his whole trajectory changes. And you know, and obviously we as fighters, God bless Khalil. I'm glad he got a win bonus. We never want to see somebody not win, but we do want to kind of have a pretty good idea when we're watching a fight, where are we at in this fight? So to your point, if open scoring would dictate that, and we're going in a fight, Dustin Jacoby goes in that 3rd round and goes, what the hell? I thought it was up, but I'm not. And he presses on the gas. Why don't we talk about that being just as important as people laying off the gas, right? And, you know, maybe they could do something where if you get in an activity or something, I don't know, but I would say that there's definitely many more positives for open scoring than there are negatives. And I think that trend is continuing. So I don't know why it's such a big deal. And everyone points to, well, the person's going to do absolutely nothing. Well, then the whole world's going to watch a person be a coward and do nothing in the 3rd round. Like, I don't think fighters really think that way, right? Like, and I think if a fighter thinks he's up anyway, he's going to be a little bit more careful in spots anyway. So I think that you could look at it both ways, but again, I feel like we are still not in a place where we feel like we're trending upward, even though the effort is there. I need to say that.
Okay. Very interesting. Speaking of corner work, I love listening to you in the corner when we can. I'm curious about the psychology of dealing with different personalities, right? And how you approach that. Is it all spur of the moment? Is it all like, I need to, you know, give this guy a little bit of a light under his butt. I need to do this. Certain guys don't respond to tough love. Certain guys do. Is it just based on personalities, or do you have a certain set, you know, kind of, approach to how to deal with it? Because you only get a minute. I mean, it's so fast, but it could be effective when you use.
60 seconds, 60 important seconds. The reality is I've been with my fighters so long. We have been through so much together, so many wars, so many trips to the hospital, so many crazy moments. I mean, we're close, man. We're really, really close. Me and all my athletes are very close. That's why I don't corner people that I just work with a guy this one time and I'm doing this. I don't do that because I can sit and look someone in the face and just tell them the damn truth. And I think, you know, I got a lot of love for the MMA fans in the media because they give me tons of love. But I always say, you're giving me love for just telling the truth, which I appreciate. But I've never understood the like, hey, you're doing great. Hey, things are really working out. Hell no, they're not working out. You're down 2 rounds. And if you don't do something amazing, you're about to lose. And a loss in MMA is catastrophic. Let's just be honest. So I'm just very honest in the moment. I analyze what's going on. I see where does the fighter need to improve? What do we need to do to win? And that's all that matters. And that's really all I try to do is communicate the truth, Ariel. And I think it comes across sometimes, you know, in a way that people make these clips and stuff and they tag me, which, you know, I've never once reposted that. And I will touch on that. I will never, ever make it about me, right? Why would I post my fighter fucking struggling and then me yelling at him and then him coming back and winning? Like, that's my damn job. I don't need to highlight me. Let's highlight him winning. How about that? And lastly, I'll say, I always tell my guys, you know, the best days are when I don't have to say a damn word and I can just come out there and take the picture and we win, right? I mean, I don't need to say anything. There's times where I'm just like, Jeff Neal, Vicente Luque, 3rd round. I mean, I got on his ass before that, But during the third round, I didn't have to say a whole lot of anything because he was like, okay, all right then. Like, these guys are amazing. You know, these fighters are amazing. And we've been together so long. I know when to just sit back and let them roll. And I know when they really need me. And I just act accordingly.
Back to Uriah. Can he beat Jake Paul?
He could, but he would have to train. And I told him that, you know, and I think Jake, you've got to recognize facts. And Jake, look, I thought Anderson did fantastic. I thought Anderson's something else. I mean, he's a special guy, and he went in there and touched Jake. That uppercut with Jake falling back, and you know, the ring generalship. Anderson was on him, but after the fourth round, Anderson got a little tired. I mean, he is 48 years old, 47 years old, and I thought that Jake stepped his game up then in the later rounds, and obviously he got the knockdown. But even before that, Jake's in shape. He's a young kid who goes to the gym and busts his ass. He's obviously doing the work. And again, say what you want, he's still fighting guys that, yeah, I know he's old, but look at boxers' records in their beginning of their careers. They don't take on challenges. They get built up. That's the way boxing is. That's why you always see these guys avoiding each other when they're 40-0 and 38-0, because that's the way it is. They avoid each other because they realize that a loss changes the whole, you know, course of their careers. So they definitely don't take fights like we do in MMA at 3-0. You know, a loss in MMA is a little bit different, right? Guys kind of understand now, okay, you know, for example, Alex Pereira, he lost his first MMA fight. Everyone kind of understands, okay, he's figuring it out. You know, Kamaru Usman lost a fight in the very beginning. Nobody says, oh yeah, he sucks.
Right.
But in boxing, it kind of changes things. So I think we've got to recognize that Jake is still, there are challenges for him. It's a step up for him, and that's what's important, right? That needs to be recognized. And I think that he, I think that he's getting tougher. I think he's a kid that's getting tougher. I understand people saying he's not good and he's got a lot of holes. I get boxers saying that too. So there's two sides to every coin there, but I do think he's in shape. I think Uriah's 38. I think he's 25 or 26. I think he's training his ass off, and I think he's got momentum. And I think you've got to recognize those things, and you've got to take Le'Veon. You had to take seriously. Nobody's a joke here. Just because everyone watches it on the internet and says, "Oh, he's going to kill him." What the hell do you know? Have you ever done it? Have you ever done 3 rounds? Like it doesn't matter what you think, man. Like, I don't go to your job and tell you like, no, you know what? You're doing this wrong. You got to understand that, like, I could, if I came in the studio and I know a lot about MMA and I was like, Ariel, just let me run shit today. Right. Let me have it. Like, I got it, Ariel. I know all these people. I see them every weekend. Just let me handle it. You'd be like, Sayif, I really think we should do a couple practice rounds first. I'd be like, Ariel, just fucking go on vacation. Just give it to me. Right. How much of a disaster would that be? Right. I mean, hell, this Zoom call got dropped once already from somebody calling me. Experience matters, man. And I think that we just got to look at everything kind of with a truthful eye. Let's just be honest. Let's not always look to put everybody down. He sucks. That sucks. Let's just celebrate things for what they are and move on. So
well said. Well put. And by the way, I do think you're coming for my job. I see you now doing these breakdowns. And you're doing a great job with them. Is this the beginning of a new career for you? I want to see you on the broadcast between rounds now. Enough of these other jamokes. I want to see you up there.
You know, I mean, so much credit to Ben Chiliberti, the UFC. He's an executive producer. He reached out to me, and nobody knows these guys, right? These are the guys behind the scenes that nobody knows, but they make these things happen. And he goes, "Hey, I think that you'd be really good at this. And why don't you try it?" And, you know, I was telling my wife, I was like, I got so much stuff going on. I'm cornering everybody every week. I was like, this is going to be an undertaking, because if I do it, I'm going to study tape. And I did the first one and got such a good reception and so much love and appreciation. And people were like, that really helped me understand MMA. They're like, man, you got to do it again. So then they asked me to do the next main event and, with Makachev and Charles. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that one. And I'm actually flying out tomorrow to do the Izzy and Alex. So the truth is that we study film vigorously, and this is what we do. And every time we have a fight, we break down this tape and we go over every little thing. And it's been fun to do that for athletes that are not my own. I have a new appreciation for each one of the champions. I think that it's all those little details, man, that people don't see that they are doing. And I think that it's been fantastic. And Yeah, we'll see. I don't know about commentating. I think that I'm a coach, man. That's what I do. So breakdown kind of makes sense for me because I'm still kind of coaching or explaining. But talking about, other people that are not my own, like I've got 21 fighters right now, competing. And, we've got Jeff at number 6. We got Ryan Spann about to fight Dominic Reyes in Madison Square Garden. We got Schnell off of that huge win that he had against Sumadarji, fight Nicolau after that. And Kennedy's coming now, starting to surge. I think he's going to be something. And I could go on and on. So my dedication and focus is to my fighters. And I think that the breakdown show has made me a better coach because I've had to focus even more. And for that, I can file it under that it makes me better at my job. So I will do it. But anything that takes away from my athletes or my time or my focus and my dedication of what we started, 10 years ago, I've got to really analyze. So I think you're going to be staying in that chair for a long time.
Well, you do a great job with it, honestly. And I hope I'm not oversharing, but I was at breakfast with my family and I saw you there the first day that we were there, Thursday morning. And we were talking about it and you showed me the notes that you put together for these. And I was blown away by how detailed it was and how you have to remember all of it. There's no prompt or anything like that. So you're really taking this seriously. Says a lot about your preparation, the way you attack things. Obviously, you do the same when it comes to fighting. But that was like 8 pages or something of detailed notes.
14.
Jeez,
pages.
Louise, I don't want to sell you short. 14 pages of detailed notes on this show. Unbelievable. By the way, not to, tell them about Walter's right hand. I mean, you felt my 8-year-old son's right hand.
We got to talk about this stuff.
Tell them.
So
Dad,
dad's over. Usually they oversell. This kid, he's this kid, he's that. Let's just talk about beautiful family. Ariel's got a beautiful family.
Thank you.
And, we know your daughter's the dominator. She was kind of dictating the pace.
She was.
Me as a man with 2 daughters, completely understand that. And daughters rule the roost, and I get that. But you got 2 sons and well-mannered boys, nice and quiet, right? They had the Bills paraphernalia going. I mean, they're definitely well-rooted in the hell-wanting traditions. But your son, unprompted, unscripted, you were like, yeah. And I mean, you just were like, hey man, this kid got a good right hand, but this kid he's got a Deontay Wilder right hand. I mean, let me tell you something now. All right. You can laugh. And I'm not telling you this to make you feel good about yourself. Cause I don't know. Maybe he got it from his mom, Ariel. Maybe it's
very
not
good
from
chance.
you.
Very good chance.
So, but this kid, I mean, he popped the jab, but then the 2, he just sat down on it. And then remember, I mean, the knuckles were getting closer and closer to my face. and you were like, whoa, slow down. You're like, slow down, man. Don't hit him. And you never know. It's always the quiet ones.
Yeah.
Right. It's always the quiet ones. But the kid has a heavy too. And I told you, look, I love training kids. And, my daughters themselves, they take class at the gym. And it's just pure, man. Everybody should know how to fight so they feel good about who they are. They feel they can protect themselves. And nobody should ever feel like, they can't stand up for themselves or that they're weak or that they'll be bullied. And it doesn't matter how quiet someone is or how shy they are, knowing that knowledge. And that's a big thing, what we do at the gym, right? We've got a lot of fighters. We have so many other people that don't fight professionally, but we give them that knowledge and that confidence. And we build that just that feeling inside them that they're in control, that they are powerful. And martial arts is amazing, man. And you see this a lot in jiu-jitsu, and no punches are even being thrown, right? It changes people's lives. And I think that it empowers people. And you could see him, right? I mean, he was smiling. Was he practicing after that?
Afterwards, I was holding up my hands and I actually felt like he was hitting me hard. And I was like, why didn't you show him this? I felt like you were holding back. He's like, I didn't want to. I was like, no, you gave him 50%. But yeah, it was great, man. I really, really appreciate it. I could tell you brightened his day. It was really, really nice. It was one of the highlights of the trip to see you on the first morning there, hang out with you for a bit, eat a bit, and introduce you to my family. So thank you for that. Thank you. You were really kind to them. And congrats to you and the team on an incredible weekend. And I'm curious to see where this boxing thing goes for you guys. Like you said, you're 2-0 now. So why not keep it going? Appreciate it.
You never know what's going to happen. So, but again, it will require a lot of work. So nothing is easy, and all of it requires a lot of work, in boxing too. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, it's no problem. No, it requires a ton of work as well. So
good luck in November. Big fights for you. Can't wait for them. Thanks for the time, my man.
Thank you very much, man. Good to
All
see you.
right,
Thanks.
there he is, Sayif Saud, the head man over at Fortis MMA. Big weekend for him, and yeah, he held up the hands for Walter, and he was cracking him. I was like, oh yeah, look at that, big time MMA coach, impressed with my son's right hand. Listen, I may not be the fighter, but there might be a Helwani coming up who will truly represent Helwani boxing. Now, let's move along. Very excited to talk to our next guest. A couple weeks ago, had a tough night in Abu Dhabi, but he has dusted himself off. He is back on the horse, so to speak, and I still think very, very big things to come. Of course, you remember the main event, Islam Makhachev, Charles Oliveira. Remember what happened to Makhachev around 10 or so fights ago. Everyone drops one. Everyone has a bad night at the office. It's how you return. It's how you come back. I expect big things from this man. I'm talking about Sean Brady, who had the tough fight against Belal Muhammad, but kind enough to join us. Hey, Sean, how are you? Thanks for doing this.
What's up, brother? Yeah, man. Of course, I'm good. I'm home. Thank God. It was a long trip home, but I'm back in Philly. Been here for about a week, just getting back into the groove of things. I trained this morning, so I'm good, man. I'm honestly the best I've ever been, which is pretty crazy to say, but I'm great.
So for someone listening to that, why are you the best that you've ever been? Because they would think maybe that, you would be somewhere lamenting the fact, sad about the fact that you lost. Why are you the best you've ever been?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. After the fight, listen, I cried. I had my moments. I had my moments on the plane coming home. Even when I got home, the first day was kind of not the easiest, but I had this sense, literally the second that fight was over, I had like this sense of relief. Like I was carrying around like this weight on my shoulders of like being undefeated. And it almost felt like my entire life was built around me being undefeated. And that if I lost that, my life would be over. And that's kind of how it felt. Even the week, like in Abu Dhabi, I told my wife I was having dreams that I lost the fight. And it was just my dream was me being the way I am right now and life just being like normal. Like in my mind, I thought life was going to end if I lost a fight. So I wasn't even fighting to win. I was just fighting not to lose my record, if that makes sense. And as soon as I lost, I'm like, man, that's the worst thing that could have happened to me. And it's done. Like it's over with. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So my mind has just opened up so much. And I just feel this sense of relief that I can just be like a new person. Like I can be a new fighter. And yeah, it's just a crazy, crazy experience and a crazy weight off my shoulders.
Wow. I can understand that. We've heard that from undefeated fighters or even champions who lose the belt but then seem to be relieved afterwards. So we've heard this sort of thing before. Are you surprised by that feeling? Like, did you think that was going to be a thing if you ever did have to deal with a loss?
Yeah, and I've always asked myself, like, I'm always asking myself, how are you going to react if you lose, because it's a possibility. And I know, like, I mentally beat myself. Like, I went back and I watched the fight and I looked good the first round. But in my mind, I was like, I'm my hardest critic and it cost me the fight. But if I could go back and win the fight, if I had the choice, I wouldn't have, because all the lessons I've learned about myself and all these little things I need to change and I'm going to change going forward would never have happened. I would have continued to do the same things I was doing, and eventually it would have caught up to me. So I'm so happy that this loss happened to me now. Because like you said, guys will lose one fight and then they go on these crazy tears. GSP lost, went on a crazy tear. Islam lost once. Everyone's going to lose eventually. And I'm really surprised with how good I'm handling it. And I see people and they come up to me and they like are saying sorry and like they're like hitting up me and my wife and they feel bad. I'm like, listen, like I'm good. Like I'm back in the gym. Like I'm happy, like I'm not devastated. Like, yeah, it sucks, but you can't go swimming without getting wet. Like eventually it's going to happen and it's going to happen to all of us, but I'm not even 30 years old. I'm so young in my career. I literally feel like this is just my career starting now. Like now I can just be a completely different fighter, a completely different person, and not have to worry about losing. Cause I always wondered, I'm like, damn, like it's going to be over if I lose, and life just rolls on. Like it's the same. My life is completely normal. The people who love me. My team loves me. I'm still ranked in the top 10 in the UFC. I'm going to go and train and fight again soon. And I get to go and do it again. And that's the best thing. And I started working with a new mental coach already. His name's Brian Kane. He worked with GSP after his first fight. So I'm just doing all these new things. I'm going to go train, get with some different bodies, not leave my team, but just go travel a little bit, train. I got to get outside my comfort zone. And I would have never have done that if I would have won this fight. So I'm just opening up a whole bunch of new doors.
So you wrote that in a post after the fight that you were going to get out of your comfort zone. And I was just about to ask you what you meant by that. So does that mean, because when you're undefeated, you're like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But now that that's gone, you can go out and train with other people?
Yeah, and I've always wanted to go to Florida and train with those guys down there. Like I have connections with guys, and I just always wanted to train, and I just never did because I just lived inside of my comfort zone and like just always just doing my same routine and just being comfortable with that and training with the same guys. Don't get me wrong, I'm not leaving my team. Like that's not what I'm saying, but I want to go train and learn some new things from different people and train with different bodies and just get different experiences, and I feel like I've always held myself back from that. Like I'm going to go down to Texas and train with Gordon Ryan and those jiu-jitsu guys and just go do different things. I always just get so caught up in what I was doing and just trying to be the best at everything and just being comfortable where I was at instead of like going and maybe getting beat up by some different guys, So now I'm going to open up those doors and do that. I got to go be the nail somewhere. I can't always just be the hammer in where I'm at.
In Florida, do you mean the Kill Cliff guys, formerly Sanford?
Yeah, so Eddie Alvarez obviously has a good connection with them. And I fought one of their guys a while ago. And afterwards, me and Henry Hooft have always kind of chatted. And just, I know like Brendan Allen and those guys down there and Aaron Jeffrey, who I fought, he's down there. So there's so many good guys down there. I would love to get down there if they would have me and train and just mix it up with those guys. And I know Eddie goes back and forth between here and Florida. So he called me right after the fight. He's like, dude, we can book a flight down there whenever you want. So nice. I have so many options, and I just gotta I can only do this for so long. I gotta go and open up those doors now.
And by the way, look no further than the man who beat you a couple weeks ago, Belal Muhammad, who I think has looked great as of late. Someone who stumbled early on, but now on quite a roll and very close to that title picture. I'm wondering, in retrospect, did you underestimate him?
No, I didn't underestimate him at all. I trained hard for that fight. And that's another thing that is I'm very fortunate that happened. If I would have won that fight, I would have either been fighting for a number one contender or even possibly for the belt. Like crazier things have happened. And I'm not ready for that. And I'm honest with myself. And I know mentally I'm not. Physically, my skills, I know I can beat anybody in the world. But mentally, that entire week, I just beat myself. Even going into the fight, like walking to the arena, like I beat myself. Like, how did you beat yourself? Good. I just didn't. I didn't believe in myself. I started questioning myself. Like, do you deserve to be here? And I'm like I said, I was having those dreams that I lost, and it wasn't even in my mind that in the dream I lost a Belal. I just lost a fight, and I'm like, fuck, like, and I couldn't get back on track to me winning. Like my thoughts, like every time I thought about it, I could never go back to how good I was and how good my skills were. So I was mentally beat before I even got in there. And even when that flurry of punches were going on, I wasn't out. I should have grabbed them. I should have threw one punch back. I was watching the clock. I watched the clock go from 20 down to 11, and I thought I was going to make it to the next round. But I froze. I didn't grab him, or I didn't try to do something which I should have done, and I just mentally fucking froze. And
do you think it was the moment, being overseas, pay-per-view, high-profile card, did any of that come into play?
Probably a little bit. Like it was definitely, it was a very, for the record, everybody in Abu Dhabi was super nice, but walking out, it was hostile as shit. Like it was a very hostile crowd to walk out. I imagine it's probably what it's like walking out in Philly, but it was very hostile. And like I said, like even the first round, like I went back and seen what a lot of people thought I won the first round, but in my mind going into the second round, I'm like, fuck, you lost that round. I never gave myself a chance.
Got it.
And then it just was over before I even got even like when I shot a couple takedowns, like everyone who knows me afterwards, like, dude, like you don't shoot like that. Like I'm usually, if I'm in on it, I just didn't believe in my skills. And I've always suffered with that. And martial arts is one of the things that the best thing it's ever done for me was build confidence, but I still struggle with that every day of not being a confident person when I should be, you know? And I just wasn't confident in my abilities. I wasn't confident in my training that I did. And it cost me the fight, but I've gotten so much more out of it than that undefeated record was doing for me.
By the way, you also mentioned something in your post after the fight about your wife. Were people harassing her? What is going on over here?
Yeah, well, you know, like the messages you get, but yeah, she got some pretty nasty messages. Like someone messaged her that they said if I won the fight against Belal, they were gonna kill me, bury me in the desert. Like they were, yeah, it was pretty bad.
What the hell? They're reaching out to your wife to say this?
Yeah.
Oh my! That is horrible.
Yeah,
that is horrible. Was she there with you?
Bad. Yeah, she was there. My parents were there, and she was right there. Like she was front row with Joey Pfeiffer, and she busted through the security and got to me when I was walking out of the ring. But yeah, she was right there with me, and like I said, yeah, she's got some nasty messages. But dude, these fans are they're scumbags. Don't get me wrong, there's great fans, but then there are these people who have these fake profiles, and they write to you afterwards about. I just read some message today. And it was just you're a piece of shit.
Jesus.
They say the most wild things to you. And I don't let it get to me. I try not to read into that shit anymore. But dude, my wife's a registered nurse. She's all she does is take care of people, and people are threatening her and calling her this and calling her that. So message me. Don't message my wife. Especially if you're a man, be a man. You want to say something to me, say it to me. Don't say it to my fucking wife, because my wife could probably beat you up. But I know for a fact you wouldn't say that shit if we were in real life. And that's the problem. All these people get to hide behind these screens and say these things. And even I lost the fight, but my life isn't over. I still live my dream every day. These people hate their lives, and that's why they do what they do. So I almost kind of feel bad for them, but I would like to slap the shit out of them too at the same time. But
by the way, I mean,
it is what it is.
This doesn't have anything to do with you, but I was talking to someone about this regarding all this Jake Paul stuff. I think a lot of the jealousy that he gets is because it's people who hate their lives, who are seeing someone succeed, and it just brings out a really ugly side of humanity. And unfortunately, 100%. That's the worst part of social media. So what about you? In a perfect world, when would you return? When would you like to fight again?
I'm sooner than later. I think they just announced that February 18th card. I'm hearing it's going to be a fight night somewhere. It was nice to be back in front of a crowd. I want to be in front of a crowd. I'm hoping it's an East Coast card. It did, even though it was a hostile crowd, it felt good just to be in front of people again. So I definitely want to be not at the Apex. I know there's also March 5th. I'm hearing is at the T-Mobile. I think that's a pay-per-view. So somewhere in that time frame. But I get married, me and my wife were already legally married, but our wedding's May 5th. So I want to fight before that so I can enjoy my wedding, enjoy a bachelor party or whatever my boys are going to do for me. And then get back, then fight again in the summertime. So I have no injuries. I want to fight in February. Definitely I'm not traveling. I'm not going to South Korea, and I'm not going to Australia. So keep me in the States.
And no Apex.
Fights that have to play out. Yeah, no, none of that.
No.
So I'm going to sit down with my team, see what the UFC says about potential opponents, and go from there.
Do you have a preference as far as opponent?
Not really. If I look at the rankings, me and Luke are literally right next to each other.
Yeah,
that'd be a good fight. But I know he just came off a tough loss, and I'm sure he probably wants some time off. But yeah. It's whatever these guys think. I'll talk to my team, and whatever they think, we'll try and get it.
By the way, how far do you think Belal can go? Do you think he could be champion?
Yeah, he's good, man. Everybody I never counted him out. I knew how good he was, and I trained but I know that I can beat him, and I know I can beat any of these guys. It's just I beat myself. But yeah, I think he's going to do good. I think he has a style that the next guys in front of him, he's going to be fighting for the number one contender and then probably a belt. And I'm going to go win a couple fights, and then I'll get my rematch with him. And then we'll have it's going to be a nice storyline. So I never knew I was going to have one of those where it's fight one, fight two, fight three. But now it's something like that's going to happen, and it's going to be a cool story to have.
Well, I appreciate the way you're handling this and the candor and the openness and the honesty. So much respect to you, my friend. You've got a very, very bright career ahead of you. And I will bet you anything that I have that in, a year or two, we're going to be like, remember that fight and what it did for you? And now you're on a winning streak.
Yeah.
We've seen this story a million times. You mentioned some of them. Rose is another one. She lost and then she becomes so you'll be just fine. Kudos to you on how you're handling it. I wish you the best. And good luck in the next one. And
thank you, Eric.
I don't know if you're a Phillies fan, but good luck to the Phillies.
I was at the Eagles game yesterday. The Phillies tonight. So
geez Louise,
good things are happening.
Philadelphia's on fire, man. I am jealous.
On fire.
Well done. Thank you, Sean. All the best.
Brother. I appreciate it, Ariel.
Yeah, Philadelphia sports on fire. How about those Eagles? Still undefeated. Still the second best team in the NFL, if you ask me. But still undefeated, and the Phillies as well. 1-1. Who'd have thunk it? How about that? Great stuff. Love the way he's handling it. Love that he is being so honest and open about everything. Much respect to him. Now, let's go to our next guest. I'm looking forward to talking to this man. He had, honestly, like Islam won, and it was a big deal. I felt like more people were talking about his performance, his fight, the result, the decision, and they're still talking about it. And he's even in the news today. I believe he is on the road. I believe he is not in his usual locale. I saw him on Saturday. He was in the front row at the Jake Paul fight. Very excited, as always, to talk to the one and only Sugar Sean O'Malley, who may just be the number one contender at 135 pounds. Let's say hello to the man. Hello, Sean. How are you?
Ariel, how's it going, brother? I'm doing good. You said may just be the number one contender. I am.
Okay.
Number one contender.
All right. I said that. And by the way, great to see you on Saturday. I want to ask you about that. But the reason I said May was I don't know, in the cage afterwards, you were sort of non-committal, kind of processing it all. I wasn't sure where you were at 10 or so days later.
Yeah, I mean, right after the fight, you get hit in the head a couple of times. You're exhausted. It's just like, I just wanted to sit down, watch the fight, analyze my performance. And so I was able to do that.
Have you watched the fight?
Multiple times. Yeah, probably 5 times.
And you feel fair and square, there's no controversy, you won, right?
I mean, if you're judging that fight off of damage, I think 1 and 3 are clearly mine. Did you get a chance to rewatch it?
Yes.
What was your thought?
So yeah, I mean, it's really 1, right? 1 is the controversial one. It's so freaking close. I don't think it's a robbery. I just think it's like, I have no problem with it, honestly. Upon first viewing, I'll be 100% honest with you, I thought they were going to give it to him. I thought it was 29-28 for him. I thought first and second for him, third clearly for you. I don't know how the third can't be for you. That one blows my mind. It really comes down to the first, and I don't have a problem with it. I wish there were 2 more rounds.
Yeah. The thing is, that was the narrative too, kind of going into that fight, was like, Sean's so lucky it's not 5 rounds. Like, well, I mean, didn't look like that. But yeah, I think 1 and 3 were clearly mine. I think a lot of the people initially that came out and were just so mad that I won were all the same exact people that were saying I was going to get absolutely smoked. So then I go in there and win, and now they're having a tough time. But I'd highly recommend everyone to go back and rewatch the fight before you make your solid opinion. But
yeah, I definitely think upon rewatching it, the viewpoint changes a little bit. I'm wondering, was he tougher than you thought he would be?
No, I went in there with, expecting him to be as tough as he was, the number one guy in the world. I do think if you ask him the same question, I think I surprised him a lot. I think I don't think he was ready for me to be as skilled as I was or as tough. I ate a couple left hands. He took me down. I was able to get back up. I was threatening off my back. So I think I was a lot better than he was expecting. He was as good as I was expecting. I was training and planning for the number one guy in the world, and that's what I got.
Fair to say that he took you to a place that you've never been before?
Absolutely. That's what I trained for, is to go to that place. You can only train so hard in sparring and, on the treadmill and stuff. So yeah, I was expecting that. And I even said going into that fight, I said, Peter's going to be the guy to take me to that next level. I don't think anyone's taken me there. Pedro, I thought, might be able to. Obviously, that didn't go wasn't a super tough fight or whatever. But yeah, I was planning on that. I was prepared for that, and I showed that I was prepared for that.
What about his power? Like feeling that type of power, what was that like? Because I feel like you've never been hit like that before, right?
Yeah, I've never been hit like that. He didn't feel like super, super strong on the ground. I never felt like I was going to get stuck in any positions or anything. As far as on the feet, yeah, he cracked me with a good left hand, hit me with a couple good shots. And yeah, I mean, I think that just goes to show how good a shape I was in.
Yeah, I think that what you did was, hopefully, I don't know, maybe you're not getting, but like, hopefully the doubters are going away. Hopefully you proved your point. Am I wrong about that? Do you still feel like people are doubting you? Do you still feel like people don't believe?
Oh yeah, I mean, I could go out there and beat Aljamain, and they'd still say stuff. So I think it just comes with the territory.
All right, fair enough. By the way, how was the experience over there in Abu Dhabi? Did they treat you well? It felt like you were embracing it, the culture, the attire. How was it for you?
Yeah, I had a great time. Brought the team out. We were there for, I think, 17, 18 days total. Got adjusted. I'm glad we went out as early as we did. First time fighting out of the country. And, I felt like a second home as far as fighting. It felt like a second Vegas to me. So, I really liked it. I wasn't surprised how many fans I had out there. Like, walking around, it was, the same as walking around LA, it felt like.
Wow. So are you fighting for the belt next?
Am I fighting for the belt next? I mean, if I have to go talk to UFC, I haven't talked to UFC yet. I'm going to go there maybe next week, I think, and sit down with Hunter and Sean and Dana. And so I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say yes. I would say my next fight, next time I step in the octagon, will be for the UFC title.
By the way, is everything okay? Are you in a hospital right now? What's going on?
No, we're in this clinic. Tim's getting stem cells in his shoulders.
Oh, okay. Because I saw like a dude holding a thing, and I was like, "Are you all right?" I don't know if you were having another child or something. I wasn't sure.
No, yeah. Oh shit, maybe. You never know.
All right. Do you have to go?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm chilling. I'm just sitting there.
This morning, Henry Cejudo said, "Hey, if Aljo isn't going to fight me, how about me versus Sean for the interim belt?" Did you see this tweet? And if so, what did you make of it?
That dude I heard from someone close to Henry that he's got like $37 in the bank, and he's literally just trying to do anything to get some money, trying to book a fight. So I don't know. I don't know. Henry's like a, opening main card kind of co-main event kind of dude. So I don't know. Even if him and Aljo go fight, there'll probably be some co-main event on some card. It's just hard to say. I feel like every time we talk about this guy, it's like, is he actually coming back?
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't really put much thought into that.
So I had heard last week, and I mentioned on the show that they were thinking of doing Aljo versus Henry in Perth. Are you hearing the same about that?
I heard it just because you said it. Other than that, I haven't heard that. I don't know, because I saw Aljo tweet something about June, which is obviously wouldn't make sense. I think we're gonna have a lot of questions answered when I talk to UFC after I talk to them.
Okay. And just curious, if they did book it for February, would you just wait at that point and fight the winner?
March, May, June, July.
Because then it's a long time for you on the sidelines, right?
Yeah. I think I need to fight twice a year. So ideally I wait for the title, but if it makes it to where I can't fight twice a year, I might have to, whoop Cheeto or whoop Corey or someone just in the meantime while I wait. But ideally, next fight is for the title.
Didn't Dana say that if you win this fight, you're the guy fighting for the belt before the fight?
Yeah, he did say that. So yeah, I don't know if where'd you hear Henry versus Aljo?
Well, I can't reveal my sources, Sean, but that's what I heard they wanted. Now, does it happen? Like, I have a hard time believing Aljo's going to Perth in 3 months to defend that title. What I said, by the way, just to be clear, was that is what they want, not that's what's. I didn't say like that's in their perfect world. So I don't know.
I can't imagine them wanting that Aljo versus Henry. Like, does anybody really want that? Like, is that? like I don't really see them being like, oh, we want this. This is big. This will get up like 7. This will get like a couple more people to watch the fight. I don't think that's something they want. Maybe that's something they just kind of put together just to fill a spot. But I don't know. We'll see.
Are you surprised Aljo's not calling you out? I feel like that. I mean, money fight wise, buzz wise, you're the guy. Obviously, you're the most popular guy. Are you surprised he's not being more aggressive in that regard?
He's called me out a couple times. I think we're all kind of just waiting to see where the UFC wants to go with that, in what direction they want to go. But yeah, like you said, I really am the money fight as far as if we're trying to sell pay-per-views. I will obviously do 5 times whatever Henry would do. But then again, it's like I want to sit down and renegotiate my contract too, because I've been on a lot of big pay-per-views and I know where I stand as far as selling pay-per-views. So I'm gonna sit down with them and hopefully come do something we both agree upon. And I think that like I said, in a week or two we'll know a lot more.
Can I mention something that drives me nuts? And perhaps you could present it to them. Don't say it's from me though, okay? Just for your own good.
I won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts when they do this thing that a champion gets pay-per-view points, but not the challenger. What the hell is, like, what is that? Like, sometimes the challenger is more popular than the champion, as you know, and sometimes it's a 50-50 thing, but why should one get the points and not the other if you're selling the pay-per-view? Could I ask if this is something you've thought about?
Absolutely. It's something I've thought about. I mean, as far going into say I go into my next fight against Aljo and you're telling me Aljo's going to get the pay-per-view points and I'm not, I don't know. I don't know. That's something like, we'll talk about behind closed doors with UFC and see if we can come through something. But yeah, no, it's definitely something I thought about. Some people, I mean, I get it. I understand why they're not, not getting pay-per-view points, but I should be.
Yeah. So if it was up to you, perfect world, you're fighting for the belt next, you're getting pay-per-view points and you're ready. Like, you feel like you've arrived to that point. You are ready to fight for the belt.
Yeah, I would say if it's June, July, I'm ready to get back to work. I'm pretty much healed up. I think next week I'll be able to get back to work and just grind, just grapple, do what I've been doing the last 5-6 years, just grinding on the grappling. And Aljo, obviously that's where he excels is he wants to take you down, take you back, and choke you out. So yeah, I think June, July, Sugar Show versus Aljo could be a thing.
And obviously TJ was hurt, so it's hard to really like gauge how good Aljo was in that particular fight. He looked to be in great shape. He did what he had to do. But if anything, did you have any sort of takeaway from his performance 2 weekends ago?
Yeah, it really does suck for TJ. I almost feel bad for him that he got another year layoff with that shoulder. But I don't know. I don't know why you would go into a fight that high level of a fight for a title, and when you're that compromised, unless you're hurting like Henry and you need some extra cheddar. So that's the only thing I could think of. I like TJ. I think I don't mind the guy, but I don't understand why you'd go into that fight like that. But yeah, I didn't really even watch the fight yet. So
okay, I mean you had just fought, right?
Yeah.
Once that happened, and you probably needed some time. I love the way you handled it in the aftermath, and to me, it felt like someone who was just kind of processing what happened. You didn't puff your chest out too much. You weren't like I thought it was like a real cool side of you in the post-fight interview in the cage. I don't know how much you remember from that moment, but I thought it was like a different kind of side of you in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm good at always just being myself. I've always in the cage. It's just. I'm not really. I was just being myself. I wanted to watch the fight back. I knew it was a close fight, and everyone's like, "Oh, Sean was even surprised he won," and I don't really know where they got that from. I was just being in the moment. I always close my eyes after every fight, and just kind of when you close your eyes, you can really feel more and be more in the moment. I feel like for me personally, so I was just doing that, and then they announced my name, and I smiled, and people. I don't know where they're getting this narrative, like, oh, he was even surprised he won. But yeah, it was a cool experience.
You posted a picture of you and Tim. Speaking of Tim, your longtime coach, Tim Welch, who I hope is okay. over there. But I'm just wondering, like that picture, you look at that kid, it's amazing to see you in that picture, how young you were. That was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, so that picture was 2013.
Wow, it's not even
Yeah.
10 years ago. Unbelievable. We're showing the picture right now. Could I ask you, like, would that kid have believed how big you are now and how successful you are now? Like, did that kid believe that you can reach these heights?
That kid would have told you that I would be exactly where we're at. You know, maybe not exactly, but I remember coming to Arizona for the first time and telling Tim, like, oh, we're going to the top. Like, we're going to be the biggest thing. And Tim looked at me like I was just some delusional 18-year-old kid that was just like, what are you talking about? So I've believed this for a long time. I've seen this, and I'm not surprised where we're at all.
When do you think that he started to believe that what you were saying was true? When did you feel like he was on board with this crazy vision?
That's a really good question. I think we'd have to ask Tim that. That's a good question. But I mean, it's because it has been kind of slow, but definitely. I mean, looking back, we've had all my pro fights. What am I, 17-0 now? Ariel, 17. Yeah, I mean, it's been 20 plus fights since that we've been together. So it's been slow, but steady.
And by the way, speaking of that, just like selfishly, you're two of my favorites. I think I would really love to see you and Cheeto do it again. I feel like that could be a massive, massive fight on any show. Obviously a headliner for a fight night, but pay-per-view massive. Can we get this at some point? What do you think? Does this need to happen?
100%. I've been saying it since a couple days after that fight. Everyone's like, you need the rematch. You need the rematch. And I've been saying it. It'll happen when it's ready. It's going to be a massive fight. It's going to be a big fight. Me versus Cheeto is the biggest fight in the division right now. It's bigger than I'd say me versus Cheeto is a bigger fight than me versus Aljo. As far as numbers wise, and if they really wanted to sell it at the pay-per-view, again though, it's like if we're doing pay-per-view, if I'm selling pay-per-views, I want to get pay-per-view points.
Right.
So that's something like I said, I'm going to talk with UFC and everything. But yeah, I think that's a massive fight that would definitely, that's going to happen 2023, 2024. I can't imagine it not happening next year at some point.
Okay, and maybe with a belt on the line. I saw you on Saturday at the fight. I know you're friendly with the Paul brothers. What did you make of his performance against Anderson Silva?
He impressed me. Jake impressed me. I thought the later the fight went on, I thought Anderson might kind of put it on him if it continued to go into the later rounds. But I think it just goes to show how good a shape Jake was in, how serious he took the fight camp, how serious he takes the sport. He was throwing good combos on the inside. He was going to the body nice. He was doing a lot of things right. And I was very impressed with Jake.
And do you think, like at this point, where are you as far as where he's at in his career? You want to see him fight Nate Diaz? You want to see him fight a real boxer? What do you want to see? Because this is the very, important question that we're all trying to answer on this Monday.
I always want to see the biggest fights. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz is the biggest fight. That's what I would like to see. Jake wants to be taken more serious and fight a real, like a boxer and go after a belt. But I'm like, you might as well fight Nate Diaz. And I don't know if Nate takes that fight. Nate might have seen, Jake looked good. Jake didn't look, it's not like Nate probably looked at him and thought, oh, I can go in there and just whoop him. So, that might be a fight that Nate doesn't even really take.
Wow, you think Jake wins that fight?
Jake versus Nate?
Yeah.
I mean, there's only one way to see it. If you would ask me, do you think Jake beats Anderson? I'd say the same thing. There's only one way to know. They got to go out there and fight. I don't know if Jake beats Nate. What he showed versus Anderson, I would say there's a very good chance. So I think it would be an epic fight.
It would be an epic fight. I would love to see it as well. I would also love to see him fight like the Tommy Furies of the world. But overall, did you enjoy? Because I remember I spoke to you about the August of last year experience, and you were like, "Oh man, people were bothering me, this and that." You were at that one, right, in Cleveland. This time around, did you enjoy it more? Yeah,
I was able to. They put me in the front, so I wasn't getting bombarded by the fans, which was nice. So yeah, it was a good experience. I got there later on purpose because that's all I really was there to see was Jake versus Anderson, and it delivered. I had a great time.
By the way, I noticed that you still had the cornrows in. Do you usually keep them this long after the fight? Oh, there they are. They're
Of course. Yeah, they're still there. Yeah, I like to keep them in. They're nice. It's nice and easy, and I just wear them until they kind of start falling out.
Okay, and of course you have the luxury of your partner doing them for you, right? So you can take them out whenever you want. How long does that take?
To take them out?
To put them in and to take them out?
Putting them in, hour. Taking them out is actually the tougher part. Takes me a while, but I always have to braid my hair when I'm grappling a lot. So I usually have my hair braided like 90% of fight camps, just because it gets ripped out if it's not braided.
Okay. All right. So in conclusion, perfect world. You sit down with the UFC next week, you said it is? Something like that? Yeah?
Ideally, yep.
Yeah. You sit down, you talk about your deal, you get a title fight sometime maybe in like the second quarter of 2023. Is that pretty much sum it up?
Sums it up good.
How do we beat Aljo in your mind?
Aljo's a tough fight. It's probably the toughest fight in the division. Obviously, it's champ. You know, I believe in my skill set, and I think we just got to go to a dark place, go where we were with Peter, and that's where we beat him. But I also could drop him early, and I'll always say that against anybody I fight. I could be on a 37 fight losing streak, and I'll say I still could drop him in the first round. I'm dangerous in the first. Well, I'm dangerous. I was dangerous in the third too. I about put Peter's head, took it off. I need him, cut him open, landed a couple flurries, and threw another knee when he was up against the cage. That might have really sent him away from the UFC. I know he's talking about maybe not being UFC. That knee would have put him into ONE FC or Bellator for sure.
By the way, no bodyguard this time. He had enough. I saw him afterwards. He was sweating up there. He couldn't handle the heat.
Yeah, no Schmidt today.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this, my man. I appreciate it. Good to see you. Congrats again on the win. Incredible stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for you. Thanks for doing this.
Ariel, you're the man, brother. Talk soon.
Appreciate it. There he is, Sean O'Malley. I was on his podcast not that long ago. Check that out. It's on his YouTube page alongside his coach, Tim Welch. And I am looking forward to seeing what they do. What is GC back there?
Yep.
What do they have odds yet for him versus Aljo?
No, but I'd be curious to see what they are.
Yeah. Very curious.
Let's see.
Usually they come out with them right away when it's clear like there's a next.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything up yet. I would imagine Aljamain will be the favorite, but
would love to see. I don't want to see. First of all, like all this interim crap. No, thank you. Interim should be last resort. And also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Aljo just fought a week ago. A week ago. How are we talking interim? Interim should be if there's someone who got hurt, someone who's suspended, I don't know, but like someone who's out for a very long time. That's when you should do the interim fight. And the guy just fought. And if he doesn't want to go, honestly, if he doesn't want to go to Perth in February, I don't blame him. Now, he hasn't said that. I'm speaking on his behalf here, but I do not blame him. I think if O'Malley and the UFC come to some sort of agreement here, that he has earned it after beating Petr Yan. As we said leading up to the fight, I could also understand why they want to do the Cejudo fight because of the fact that he, was the champion. He relinquished it. It's a name. It's an interesting matchup. I think it's interesting that Dana rarely says before a fight that if this guy wins, he's getting it. And it seemed like he said it before Sean's fight against Petr. And now it seems like they're less, I don't know, confident about it, forceful about it. At the post-fight press conference, he talked about Henry Cejudo as a potential. And then I heard what I heard about Perth. So I don't know. And again, to be clear, I never said that the Perth fight was a done deal. I just said that's what they wanted. They want a lot of things. And often those things don't come to fruition. I was just saying what I heard they wanted in the works plan, not even in the works, honestly, like on their little like fantasy board, if you will. By the way, in case you missed it, we announced that at 3:30, Jake Paul is going to join us. Fresh off his big win this Saturday over Anderson Silva at the newly renamed Desert Diamond Arena. Nice venue. Not really sure what they use it for. Frank, Arizona's very nice, by the way. I asked a lot of people. Yeah, I asked a lot of people about you, and I let them know that, hey.
Well, I appreciate you doing that.
I know this guy. He's a big part of the team. Are you familiar with him? I got a lot of yeses. I got a lot of where's Frank? I got a lot of how's he been to work with? All that kind of stuff.
Oh, man. What did you do with Claire for her birthday?
Well, we were staying in Litchfield Park.
Oh, nice.
Are you familiar with Litchfield Park?
Yeah, it's a little out there.
It's a little out there. It's very residential. We were staying at a hotel called the Wigwam.
Never heard of it. But
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
I've been there and I've heard of it. Anyway, it was really nice. Nice little pool there. Nice restaurant. It was great, but there wasn't really anything to do outside of it.
Right.
So we kind of just stayed local. Of course, the thing that I was really worried about was balancing, the work life and the family life. I've never done this before. When I was, when I was on the road, when you're on the road, you're locked in, right? You're in your room. You don't really go sightseeing. You're not swimming. I went swimming with Claire on her birthday. She really wanted me to. I'm not a big swimmer. I hardly ever go swimming, but she really wanted me. So I was like, listen, I'm doing this for you and only you. And I would never do this on a work trip. But, you got to do it for the kids. But it ended up being great. They were okay. They would always ask me, like, when are you coming back, this and that. And then they came to the weigh-ins.
Nice.
And we've never done that before, obviously. They've never been to a weigh-in, even if it was like a local, event in New York or something like that. And that was really cool because they met the great George St. Pierre. He took a picture with them. Everyone was so nice. All the Showtime people came up and said hello to them, asked who the birthday girl was. They saw the Jake Paul robots. They were very excited about that. There was some, some foul language,
if they watch this show, they're going to be exposed to that.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot. The music was definitely explicit.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah. But they saw me up there doing the interviews. They enjoyed that very much. It was fun to look at them in the crowd looking at me. I've never even brought them to this show or any of my shows. When I was at ESPN, I never did any of that. So it was nice. I've always tried to keep that separate. So it was nice to experience that with them. If you're a parent out there who has trouble putting your kids to bed, may I suggest a trip to the West Coast of the United States, because they fall asleep real fast when you're on the West Coast. They fall asleep at like 5:30. They're so tired. On the flip side of that, they also wake up really early. So she was waking up at like 3:30.
Oh, man.
Because she wakes up at 6:30, yeah.
Did she get any taller, by the way? Do you guys do that?
Taller?
Yeah, you don't like mark the heights.
Oh, no, we didn't do that.
Does she seem taller?
She seems pretty tall for her age, 6 years old, or young, I should say.
5'4", you said?
Yeah, 5'4", 4.5.
There you go.
We went to the weigh-ins on our birthday, and then I don't know if you've ever been to that arena. Have you been to the
several times?
Yeah, and there's like this complex.
Yeah, the complex, and he rode the
Westgate?
horse through it. Yeah, Westgate.
Is it called the Westgate?
There's a B-Dubs over there. Used to go before the hockey games.
What's a B-Dubs?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, I thought you meant DB's, Dave and Buster's. I didn't see the Buffalo Wild Wings, but there's a bunch of restaurants. Honestly, I don't really know what they have. The football stadium there, State Farm, and I scoped it out because I'll be there in February when the Bills are playing in the Super Bowl. Right. So it was nice to see it in advance. I don't really know what they do at this arena now that I guess they do concerts and stuff like that, but it's weird.
I've seen Tool there, saw hockey back when it was there. There's a lot of stuff. I helped set up audio for Post Malone there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
pretty cool.
Yeah. Last time I was at that venue was WEC 53 in 2010, the final WEC event. Of course, I know you were watching when Anthony Pettis hit that Showtime kick against Benson Henderson. The Coyotes are playing at ASU in a 5,000-seat arena.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy for a major league team to be playing in a 5,000. That is embarrassing. They moved them out of Winnipeg for that. Shameful.
Yeah. So when you saw the Cardinal Stadium,
yes.
But did you see it how it looks in the distance? It's just like this giant mega structure.
Yeah, it is weird. It's like a silver thingy.
Reminds me of the movie Contact, which is creepy. It's what is that thing?
It's like a big pillow. Right. Yeah, I was pretty close. It's right next to the arena, right?
Yeah.
when the broadcast ended, and you take off your headset, you're like, oh, all right, that was fun. I'm done. As I'm leaving, there's all these people around the ring. I saw the great Mike Goldberg there, former UFC play-by-play man. Said hello to him. That was lovely. Kind of weird that I'm the one getting off from the broadcast and he's just standing there. Usually that's him. Anyway, as I walk out, there's still a bunch of fans there, and it was a very young crowd. As I'm like leaving the gated area around the ring and making a right to go into the back, there was probably a good 30 or so youngish guys there, and all of them were just chanting PF Chanks, PF Chanks.
You didn't get any on that video?
No, I was just like, are you kidding me? Holy crap, how did this happen? But yes, I thought you guys would enjoy that. They were all very supportive, all very nice. GC found the line here for Sterling O'Malley. What is it?
Looks like Aljamain minus 275. O'Malley plus 200.
Okay.
Big underdog.
Yeah.
I wonder what O'Malley, when they come out with the futures, I wonder what O'Malley to be the bantamweight champion by the end of 2023 is going to be.
I mean, that's going to be a thing, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I might lay some cheddar on that, depending on the line.
Wow. You should have told him that.
It'd be fun to cheer for. Like that's the biggest thing with these futures. They got to be fun.
Also, I mean, he would be one fight away, essentially.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's the key with these futures, is that they get a shot. That's all you want, is they just get a shot.
Wow. I wonder. They don't have one. When do they do those? Do they only do them at the end of the year?
DraftKings came up with them for like a few weeks, but now they're back down, I guess, because of things that have happened. Islam winning.
Right.
O'Malley winning, shaking up the scenes. They'll get them back up in December.
As of right this moment, how many do you have of those? Like, how many have hit?
Islam, which is the biggest by far, and Yuri is currently hitting.
Oh my gosh.
He's going to have to defend. If he defends, then we profited on the futures, which is huge.
Wait a second. Islam was the biggest?
Oh, yeah. I put like 1.7 down.
Oh, not the biggest line, just
no.
the biggest investment.
Yeah, biggest investment.
Wow. And that one, I mean, unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, something crazy happens. I was really hoping they were going to push the old Yuri fight, Brazil, January.
That's why you tweeted that.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought you were tweeting it because you were like, why isn't this fight happening in Brazil? Because Glover's involved. You were just talking about your own pick.
Yeah, my own pick. I could give a shit about that. Yeah.
That's the stuff that gets me all riled up. Yeah. I was like, why does GC care about this so much? Yes. Yuri, champion by the end of 2023.
Yeah, I mean, there was 2 bet slips on it, but whatever.
2 bet slips?
Yeah.
Why 2?
I got them at different lines.
Oh, okay.
You're supposed to have 1, and then they made it even bigger, so I took it again.
Give me a little sprinkle on Arnold Allen, champ by the end of 2023.
I don't mind that. Maybe Arnold Allen, Jolton Almeida,
Jolton Almeida seems like a bit of a stretch, only because I feel like I don't know, there's no momentum behind him.
Yeah. Well, he beats Maxime Grishin. You start the talks up.
AAA, I don't know what they're going to do with AAA. I really don't.
Tough scene trying to decide what's next in the featherweight division beyond Alexander Volkanovski.
Let's say Volkanovski fights in February in Perth against Islam. Now you've got the 3 guys, all of whom are coming off somewhat controversial wins. Or inconclusive, I should say, right? Because Yair had the wacky one with Ortega, which you were at. Cater loses to Emmett controversially. And by the way, I spoke a little bit to Cater yesterday. Obviously down in the dumps. Hopefully he's able to come back. A horrible scene. You hate to see any fight end that way. So Emmett's kind of sitting on this polarizing win, controversial win, if you want to call it that. And then Arnold now, who has the longest winning streak of the bunch, how could you, if they were talking about Yair versus Emmett, how could you exclude Arnold now from that conversation?
I don't think you can.
So what do you do?
I don't know. I mean, it's tricky. Like, do you add Holloway into the mix and then just have Yair, Emmett, and Arnold Allen versus Max Holloway? Like, you're in a sticky situation having 3 of them because you can't just do the number 1 contender fight.
I really don't know what they're going to do. One guy's going to be really pissed off. And by the way, I don't want to see an interim belt.
I don't want to see an interim belt, and I think all three have a rightful claim to try and get the title shot. But because you have three, it just makes it so difficult to decide what to do.
I really have no idea what they're going to do. And I don't know who that fourth guy is, unless, as you said, like if Holloway jumps in there. Holloway has the win over Yair, so you don't want to run that back. I guess you could do Holloway versus
Holloway Arnold Allen in London on the
God.
I mean, that's what I want. And I think Arnold Allen would be open to that. I mean, in his post-fight interview, he said that he needs to do one more before the title.
Yeah. And he has to fight on the UK card, wherever it is, Wales, Wembley, wherever it is. If they're doing the Leon Edwards, like he has to be up there on the main card.
Oh, wow. Absolutely. And Volk tweeted before the fight, like they showed it on the broadcast as the fight was starting. It was like, someone make a statement here, which unfortunately, we didn't get a statement made. But, I mean, if Arnold Allen goes out there and like has a decisive victory over Max Holloway, I think it's inarguable. That'd be 11 straight victories in the UFC. A win over Max Holloway, I think you would have to give him the shot.
And then what do you do with the other guys? You do Yair versus Emmett?
Yair Emmett, yeah. I think something that is going good for Arnold Allen is he's like, give me another fight. Whereas it felt like after the Yair win, despite how it went, he was like, it's time to give me a title shot.
Yeah. I wonder. We agree though. We agree though. No interim, right?
I don't want to see it.
What were you going to say there? Sorry.
I was going to say both featherweight and bantamweight are just like
dicey right now.
I just don't know what they're going to do. I can't wait to find out what they do.
Yeah, both are a little dicey right now. But Volkanovski, once again, like this, if Arnold would have went out there and, again, no fault of his own, it's a shitty situation, but if he would have knocked him out in the first round or second round, had some sort of decisive win, I would have felt worse about Volk fighting Islam, right? Now that it's a little up in the air, even Arnold himself saying, give me one more, makes me feel even better about that situation. And really, the only guy who has a gripe now from both weight classes is Beneil. But as we said last week, he kind of...
10 more. He's got 10 more in him.
10 more. Wow, could you imagine that he's going to be on a 17-fight winning streak? It'll be the greatest winning streak in the history of MMA with no title shots involved. Yeah, it's an interesting time. What do you think they do at 135?
I love the idea of O'Malley Aljo in July, maybe an international fight week fight, either co-main or main event. But Cejudo coming back is, I mean, if you don't think that's intriguing, in my opinion, I think that's crazy. I think Cejudo coming back to fight Aljamain is, I want it to be one of those two. That's what I'd really like to see.
You can only pick one.
Give me Aljo versus O'Malley in July.
Wow. International Fight Week?
International Fight Week, yeah.
Your first one?
Yep, I will be there. I'm telling everybody I know that I will be in Vegas in July.
Wow, Aljo versus O'Malley would be some kind of scene.
Oh my God. I mean, I think the build-up, I think they're both, somewhat of showmen in the sport. I think the build-up would just be so fantastic too.
Aljo versus O'Malley, maybe 3 title fights, maybe 2, main event, John Jones, Francis Ngannou.
Wow. You are talking now.
Yeah. What is the equivalent? Like, is there some sort of equivalent? Maybe New York Rick knows, he's very clued into this stuff. Like John Jones at heavyweight, we're approaching 3 years since his last fight. At what point do we give up on this dream? I don't know.
Never.
Never?
When the MMA GOAT says that he's coming back, you never give up on it. What's wrong with you?
When said he's going to be ready for 282.
What? Why give up on it? We've waited this long. Also, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it that you've been saying that he's ready or saying he's ready?
Yeah, but I mean,
so how's that? Why would we give up on it if he's ready?
I mean, I don't know. Well, first of all, Francis has to resign.
Well, you didn't say, are we giving up on Francis versus John Jones? You said, are we giving up on John Jones coming to heavyweight? I say, if John Jones is ready and he could have fought in December, hell no.
Well, he wants a certain amount of money, right? He wants a certain amount of money. So if there's no Francis involved, does he get that money? The next best thing is Stipe. I don't think they want to pay Stipe. I just don't know. I just don't know. Listen, I'm still. I'm not saying it's dead, and I'm not saying I'm losing faith. I just want to know at what point do we start losing faith? Okay.
Answer is never.
All right.
The GOAT is supposedly eventually going to come back. I'll hold out hope forever.
He's your GOAT?
Oh, come on.
John Jones your GOAT?
Well, I've never wavered on this. There's no world where John Jones is not the greatest of all time.
Wow.
I can't hear other arguments, honestly.
GSP?
No, not even.
Because he lost twice?
I mean, yeah. Like the resume is not even close.
Two weight class division. Two weight class champion.
Don't do that.
What?
Yeah, 2 weight class champion in a one off cherry picked fight. Like, come on.
What do you mean cherry picked fight? He was the champ.
Yeah. Don't listen. He won a second title. It's added to the resume, but don't pretend like GSP is going up there and defending belts.
I was just with him. I wish I knew this stance. I would have told him.
I wish you had told him.
I won't hear an argument that John Jones is not the GOAT. I really won't. I won't consider them.
I haven't been around the sport long enough. I don't have a GOAT yet.
Yeah, I feel like
we are forgetting, but that run at light heavyweight from when he won the title and all those defenses is the best run in MMA history. Conor McGregor maybe is up there in that conversation, but John Jones dispatching every legendary light heavyweight one after the other. Come on, man. And then not having lost, Matt Hamill.
What about the Cloud?
They all kind of have something.
What do you mean they all gotta have something?
Anderson Silva would be my other potential contender.
Anderson over GSP?
Oh yeah.
What? Okay, now that's crazy. With all due respect to Anderson, I mean, I was just with him. We had a moment.
GSP.
You're kidding me.
I'm not.
How? 2-division champ.
I think the run of finishes, the streak, that all is more impressive to me than GSP's resume.
Wow. Now I have to see, I don't know these numbers off the top of my head.
I'm willing to entertain the argument, and I think Daniel Cormier is the one who makes this the most pointedly. If you are going to say you must take out John Jones and Anderson Silva because of the fact that they have positive tests, I'm okay with that. I will have that discussion with you. I will grant you that and say that's your call. You can have your set up based on that however you want. To me, it's not a disqualifier, and to me, John Jones is still the GOAT.
I like having 2 lists.
Yeah, the clean, right?
And then the everyone's included list. It's not even necessarily the clean, it's just like the ones who didn't get caught.
Well, that's the thing. I'm from the Nate Diaz school of
everyone?
We're all cheaters.
Wow.
So like I find it hard to penalize when I mostly believe that there's a lot of uncaught cheating having happened, especially previously. So, yeah, I don't disqualify John Jones or Anderson Silva, and I have them as my top 2 on the GOAT list.
Everyone's on steroids. Everyone's on the payroll.
Yeah, there you go from the Nate Diaz school. But yeah, I mean, look, if you take those 2 off, then GSP, Habib.
Wait. Okay, wait. So if you take those 2 off, where does GSP land?
He's oh man, GSP versus Habib is a debate for me. I probably have GSP above.
Come on, how could you even say that's debate? With all due respect,
I think the undefeated thing matters.
It matters, but I mean, how about title defenses?
I also think if I was to say who I think is a better fighter in their prime, I think that's a conversation, and that it helps Habib's case. Like I think Habib has potential to dominate opponents in a way that GSP just quite frankly didn't. Like GSP...
his fights were pretty one-sided. It just wasn't the same kind of dominance.
The finishing, I think, matters, and it's why I consider Anderson... I rank Anderson higher than GSP. I think that matters. I think the way you dispatch of opponents matters. But, yeah, that's closer. That one's tougher for me. It's not tough when it comes to who I think the GOAT
What about
is. I think
DJ?
it's John Jones going away. Where does DJ rank? DJ ranks pretty high. The same thing when it comes to John Jones. That streak of dominance for me, and Anderson Silva, that streak of dominance for me is significant and matters. I'd have him below would I have him below Habib? Man, I'll be honest. I don't really think highly of this conversation. Like, I don't think much of this conversation because I think it's either been done to death or different. You know, people have different perspectives on it and are not coming from the same arguments. So I don't often do this mental exercise. Where would I have DJ? Yeah, DJ be up there.
I was thinking about this actually on Saturday because, and by the way, should we put you guys up here? I don't know. We're awaiting the arrival of one Jake Paul. I just feel like I'm talking to myself here.
How about the addition of the Better Bot?
Yeah,
that was pretty sick.
2 robots.
Yeah, adding the one for his company Better. That was pretty nice touch.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Did you try it?
Nah, I haven't downloaded it yet.
They said it was number 3.
Yeah, I saw that. Maybe I'll download it right now.
What is the difference? Yeah, tell us how it is. But what is the difference between?
Betting?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know, because that means it has to be like legal everywhere, I think.
But what is micro betting?
I think you're betting on like plays.
And can't you do that with like live betting and stuff?
Yeah. I don't know. I need to dive deeper here.
I was thinking about this on Saturday when I was talking about the Mount Rushmore at the top, because I said that Tyron Woodley was on the Mount Rushmore of welterweight champions.
Yes.
While Anderson Silva is on the Mount Rushmore of MMA.
Sure. I mean, these are very safe to say. Like,
right.
Nobody, if anybody's debating these, then.
But then I was thinking, who is, like, I feel comfortable saying that.
Yeah.
And so I'm talking about the list that includes everyone. Mm-hmm. John Jones, GSP.
Oh, you're doing a Mount Rushmore of the top
of MMA
ever, and not just their weight class.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Jones, GSP, Anderson. Who's number 4? That's the tough one. I feel like the top 3 very
DJ
easy. So it's DJ, Fedor, Habib.
Yeah, these are the names.
Number 4 is tough though.
I think this comes down to like, what is your criteria, right? Like I finishing fights matters to me, right? And dominating opponents matters to me. I would probably rank Habib higher than some who would give GSP a higher ranking because that matters to me. I think Habib taking people's souls matters more than a GSP jab fest versus Jake Shields, right?
Oh, that's
so
by the way,
that matters.
That's inaccurate what you just said.
I mean, just going right at Ariel's
Jake Shields doesn't take jabs.
Wow.
He's anti-jabs.
Oh, man.
It feels like y'all planned that pre-show.
That disarms me.
Too perfect.
That disarms me. I don't know where to go from here.
It's just, I'm just going with what you said.
The quality of the quality of the wins, I think I would fold into it more than others. Because if you step backwards and just look at GSP's resume and you eliminate some of the context of the fights, it's hard. It's hard to argue.
I think I would go with DJ
as the number 1.
No. As number 4. As number 4.
The dude has he's done some things that look better now in hindsight. I think his resume is aging better. His resume is aging better, I think, and people will appreciate him more when he's gone.
I have no doubt that Khabib could be that guy, or if you want to put him as that guy, that's fine with me. I just think that it got cut short.
100%. It's okay to say that he didn't.
It's not okay to some. Like this is going to piss people off, and people are going to say I'm biased and blah 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 blah. But I mean,
yeah,
title defenses are title defenses.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, you've set the MMA, fucking private chat on fire. Just by,
Jesus.
Getting into this.
Why? What are they saying?
I don't know. There's too many messages.
There's too many messages.
Yeah.
I mean,
see this thing.
Does anyone disagree with the top 3? There can't be a disagreement on that front, right? Who's disagreeing with that?
There are some.
What did you say is the top 3? Silva, GSP,
and John Jones.
I think there are some who would probably discount Jones and Silva, right?
No.
That could be an argument too.
No. I'm saying everything's on the table.
Yeah.
By the way, we forgot about DC. DC should be in that conversation.
DC's up there, but he's not in this tier.
No?
You're hobnobbing with all these guys,
What?
Although,
DC's your best friend. You're rubbing shoulders with Silva on the weekend. You and GSP are buddies on the
Wow.
You mentioned
it became
my
Twitter mentions.
You mentioned the 2 titles he actually defended, right?
Yeah.
Unlike GSP. That matters.
Dare I say, unlike anyone other than Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, I was going to say Nunes.
Where does Amanda Nunes?
But yeah, that matters.
I don't do that. By the way, is that wrong of me?
To not put Nunes in the GOAT thing? I think you have to I will say this. I think you have to separate male and female.
I hate when they do the pound for pound and they mix them together. Should be two separate lists.
That the pool is not the same. That's
no slight on her. She's just
also
playing
if
with the cards
comes
she's
to the
dealt with.
table and is like, I think Amanda Nunes absolutely belongs in this conversation. I'm not going to be like, no, like, sure, I could hear that. I would personally separate them, but yeah, of course. Although this gets into something I said months ago where I think Cyborg is actually
that's crazy.
The female GOAT.
That's actually insane because they fought each other. I don't know if you saw that fight. It didn't last very long.
That's not how that works. That's not how.
This is sort of like
this
is like ranking Kamaru Usman over Leon Edwards. It's 100%.
I would 100% rank Kamaru Usman over Leon.
Right now?
Yeah, who's
not all time.
Yeah, right now. Yeah,
they fought.
Yeah, so
we know how that fight goes.
Yeah, we know how that fight
Wait a
goes.
second. Okay.
I know. I see exactly what you're saying, Ariel, but I actually
what are you talking
agree
about?
with.
Yeah, we know how that fight goes.
Look at that.
Kamaru Usman dominates until he gets caught.
That pennant behind you is for a college football team. When one beats the other.
Yeah, right. Champion.
Yeah, champion. If it's 5 versus 3, the next week, do they put 5 at 4 and keep 3 at 3? Or well, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Or if it's 1 versus 2.
Yeah, the pound for pound rankings list is not.
Also, can I ask you a question? This is something that drives me nuts. If you go to the UFC rankings right now, what are the welterweight rankings? Who's on top?
Well,
they
because he's the champ. But they have
but
like,
I hate that. By the way, one should be 1.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, okay. Would you not say Leon would be 1? Right, he's the champion.
No,
I mean, it has to be. He's the champion.
Well, are you? Is this ranking who's the best welterweights in the world? Because if it is, then Kamaru Usman is number 1.
Even though he lost?
Well, he is number 1, but that's because Leon is
no.
champion.
Even though he lost.
If we weren't doing the thing where the champion had his own slot,
who is
Leon would be 1, Usman would be 2. So how could you go to the pound for pound and it's not 1 and 2, or 5 and 6?
Who's the best welterweight in the world, or are you asking me
who is the best welterweight in the world right now?
Kamaru Usman.
That is crazy.
You know what?
I thought you were going to say Hamza.
Okay,
if you would have said Hamza, I would have said fine, although he's more of a 179 pounder.
I might say Hamzat Shemaev, but if you're asking me who's proven to be the best welterweight in the world, it is Kamaru Usman.
I don't know how you could say that.
You can say that Kamaru Usman got beat by Leon Edwards, but I can't. I personally can't say Leon Edwards is the best welterweight in the world. I haven't seen that. I've seen Kamaru Usman be the best welterweight in the world.
August 20th, what were you doing? Were you on vacation? I saw that fight.
I saw a pretty one-sided fight until.
Wow. Oh, so you're part of the lucky strike Twitterati.
Nothing lucky about it. Nothing lucky about it. I'm not taking away his win. Oh, here, how about this? Is Leon Edwards gonna win a rematch with Kamaru Usman?
Is Leon Edwards going to win a rematch with Kamaru Usman? I mean, that remains to be seen.
I'm not talking betting lines because the betting lines
weren't you the one who said
favor.
last week that pound for pound you don't like because it's all fictitious? That's a fictitious question right there.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to win the rematch. I'm not gonna, or a hypothetical. I'm not going to do my rankings today based on what I think might happen in 4 months.
No, you asked me who's the best welterweight in the world. The best welterweight in the world is Kamaru Usman.
So you're
or
in the camp
Hamzat Shemaev.
of not ranking the champ as number 1.
See, I don't. This ranking thing is people have different things.
No, but like let's say, what's a division other than welterweight where there's a clear-cut guy coming up, but he's not the champ just yet?
How about this? There's a lot of people who thought Petr Yan was the best bantamweight in the world over Aljamain Sterling, even though he was the champion.
Islam Makhachev.
Yeah.
Prior to his fight with Charles Oliveira.
Yeah. So you would have put
Many
Islam
people.
as the top guy?
If you're asking me who I think is the best lightweight in the world, I would have told you either Dustin Poirier for a while or Islam Makhachev.
Dustin over Charles?
Before they fought, yeah.
Oh, but no, they fought like 2 years ago now.
Yeah,
Whatever.
no, that's what I'm saying. For a while, I would have said Dustin, right?
Has it been 12 months since they fought?
Not even.
Well, it was
Last
December. Yeah, it feels like 2 years ago.
But Islam is the best lightweight in the world, and what it are you saying that until that date, Islam Makhachev wasn't the best lightweight in the world, and just because of what happened on that date, now all of a sudden, like it's magic, like as soon as that bell rings that the fight is over, now all of a sudden he magically became? It doesn't work like that. Who's the best in the world? He was the best in the world 6 months ago, and he's the best in the world today. Now, if you make the argument to me that you think Charles Oliveira beats Islam in a rematch, then I'll listen to you if you're saying that you have Charles higher. Sure. I could understand that. I believe that. But I don't think Leon Edwards is the best welterweight in the world.
Wow, this is so disappointing.
I think he beat the best welterweight in the world, and I think you deserve a hell of a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
I think he's the UFC champion. I think his knockout is one of the longest, the knockouts that we're going to remember forever. But he's not the best welterweight.
What a trip this conversation has taken.
Why?
And I think Hamzat's going to...
Who's next at featherweight? Who's the GOAT? Now is Leon better than Usman?
No, actually we went from bantamweight to featherweight.
Yeah.
To...
Who actually I did see in the private chat, Jed Mishu throwing out a decent idea. Winner of Bryce Mitchell, Ilia Topuria becomes the fourth man, and then we do a little, featherweight tournament.
Yeah, I don't hate that. But then I feel like Max could have a say. I mean, that's a big time fight.
Man, I miss Max.
Yeah.
I miss Max.
Seems like he's happy right now.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
Halloween costume looks great.
If he doesn't want to come back for any time soon, great. Like, do your thing, Max. But boy, do I miss that guy fighting.
By the way, did Chito Vera post his Halloween picture yet?
I haven't seen anything. Let's see.
Are you guys big Halloween goers?
Big time. Used to be one of my favorite days of the year.
Yeah.
I am not.
You are
As
not?
you can see, my costume is somebody who didn't bet on Anderson Silva and was thinking Jake Paul would win the fight.
Yeah.
That's my costume.
You were very confident.
Yeah, listen, I will admit I didn't consider Anderson Silva doing Anderson Silva things, which is silly in hindsight.
Those uppercuts, though.
They were nice.
Yeah, I thought
Good point,
Anderson
Frank.
Silva was going to be... After he had good rounds, he had bad rounds where he just looked inactive and it wasn't good. I should have anticipated those and didn't. I expected a lot more of the good, and that happens in betting sometimes where you're just thinking about the positives. You're just thinking about what they're going to do and not what they're not going to do. And quite frankly, Jake Paul looked better than I expected him to look.
Do you remember how you scored it as it was going on?
I had Silva winning rounds that they didn't give to him ultimately. I think there were some early rounds that, like, the scorecards were wider than I thought. I thought Silva was doing better work in some of those early rounds that they ultimately weren't scoring for him anyway. So I thought the knockdown was going to be more consequential, but it ended up not being because they had banked early rounds for Jake.
Right.
But you can't be mad. Like, Jake Paul won that fight. There's no doubt Jake Paul won that fight.
I was looking at the scorecards. There's a screen.
Yeah.
And with updated stats and whatnot,
right?
Steve Farhood is scoring it, the unofficial scorer. And I also had my phone on the desk, and I saw you guys talking about it.
Right.
And your scorecard, New York Rick, wasn't meshing with his. So I was at one point going to say, well, actually, when they were like, let's go to Steve Farhood for his, I was going to say, well, New York Rick on my text thread.
Because we were even like, where are they getting these numbers for these scorecards that you guys are referring to?
Oh, or the stats too. I was really hoping they would show the stats at some point, but they
did they not?
No, I never saw the stats once.
Oh wow, I was looking at them. Really?
I mean, some mistake.
We were all watching it.
Yeah, no. I did try to drop a couple of subtle, nods to you guys. Did you guys hear open scoring?
I picked up the open scoring. I actually was
trying to play the hits
scoring at that moment. I wanted to know who was winning.
Joe even texted me right as you did it, and I could hear him rolling his eyes.
Wow, really? Jeez, thanks a lot. I dropped a mention there, open scoring, a golly. Didn't drop a you almost forgot. Felt like I played that hand on Friday.
Did that on Friday.
I could have. I think
the 0 to 100.
Yeah. And then Morrow hit me back with a Drake line.
And followed up with another Drake line.
Yeah, you and Morrow is a good combo for that.
Yeah, he did stiff arm me on my wrestling referee.
He did. He said, what did he say?
He said who?
What?
Yes, he said who, and kind of gave me a look as well.
I get the joke though.
Yeah.
I feel like he's doing, sarcasm. Like he's doing a little bit.
He has a bit of history with them too, so I wasn't sure. But you didn't say anything afterwards. I mean, Logan was like front and center there. You could see him right the whole time. So I was like, hey, there's the
new Kardashians.
The new Kardashians, yeah. See, when they say things like that, it's like now you're just asking for trouble, right?
I don't think they care.
Yeah. This is all good. This is all good for the business of Jake Paul.
I mean, no, it's
these people who I don't understand why people don't get this. I really don't. The Jake Paul thing, the Sugar Sean O'Malley thing, This is all good for them. This is all good for them. The people continuing to doubt them is the best thing that can happen for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, does it translate into pay-per-view buys is the question.
That's a different question for me. Because as I said, you asked me, does Jake Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, I think? I forget what we were talking about earlier, but you asked me.
It was Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz or Nate Diaz versus Floyd Mayweather.
Nate Diaz and Floyd Mayweather are proven pay-per-view draws. That's a different conversation for me. Jake Paul is not. Jake Paul, we'll see how this pay-per-view did, but Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley 2 just wasn't in the stratosphere of what...
That one I feel like is a weird anomaly because it was this rematch that no one asked for.
Yeah, but we're talking about people who every time out sell pay-per-views, right? Yeah. That's the caliber, that's the status of fighter that we're talking about now. When you talk about Floyd Mayweather, that's an event every single time. That's a pay-per-view draw at this point in his career every single time. I don't think Jake Paul is there quite yet. With the right opponent, he can be huge. There's no doubt in my mind. But he's not there. He's not in that stratosphere yet.
I mean, I wonder what the best boxing pay-per-view of 2022 is, like in terms of pay-per-view buys. Can't even think of one right now.
Probably not. Tyson Fury, Dillian White.
On ESPN Plus?
Upcoming?
No, right now.
No, he's saying a fight that hasn't happened yet.
No, I'm saying right now. Like, as of right this moment, what's the biggest?
Already?
Yeah.
Didn't Tyson Fury?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Chisora he's fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he had the crazy walkout.
No, it was great, but it was also an afternoon pay-per-view on ESPN Plus.
Jesus, that fight happened this year?
That was April, yeah.
Yeah.
It was right before
knocked him out clean. Oh, my God.
What was the biggest fight of... I mean, do you think Bivol Canelo sold well? Canelo Triple G3?
We're not including UFC pay-per-views.
No, I'm talking boxing.
We're talking, strictly boxing.
I mean, I think there's a very good chance this is the highest selling boxing pay-per-view of the year. I don't know what the numbers are. I have no idea, but...
Jose Youngs has to help me here.
Now, there haven't been...
Taylor?
That was in pay-per-view. It was just a zone. So that's the thing, right? There's very few... I mean, Crawford Spence would have been big if they would have gotten done this year. Fury...
What did White and Fury do?
Maybe Joshua Usyk too? Probably not. That was an afternoon card.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I'm out of my depths here. I don't know. But I think it's safe to say that Floyd Mayweather is in a different tier than this, no? He's in a different category than this.
Based on what? His Ryzen fight?
No, I'm not talking about for this year. He wasn't on pay-per-view. I'm talking about... Or what? I mean, that...
Well, Floyd is fighting on isn't he fighting on pay-per-view next week?
Yeah.
Who's buying that?
Well,
on a Sunday.
He's not. I'll tell you this. I think it does more.
Deji?
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather Deji.
Stop it.
More than Jake Paul?
More.
No chance.
I think it does more.
Yeah, on a Sunday afternoon? You're crazy.
I think it does more. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I think it does more.
No way.
I disagree. Also, yeah.
First of all, just the fact that it's on a
Tommy Fury and his legion of Love
that's a good
Island
point.
fans
That's a good
are on
point.
that card.
By the way,
Don't forget
just
that.
the fact that it's on a Sunday afternoon versus a Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, you're going up against NFL, this and that. There's no chance.
I mean, we'll see.
Also,
what has
Dr. Mike, huge draw.
Yeah,
big draw. Big
see,
time draw.
This is where all this nonsense around Tommy Fury all falls apart. Because you talk about these guys that like have these followings, it doesn't translate to pay-per-view success.
Yeah, but I feel like now we're saying two separate things. Because
I'm going.
Yeah, okay.
I'm driving home the Tommy Fury isn't a draw point.
Listen, you could say Floyd is. I really actually think that he has hurt his marketability.
His stock.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, Floyd is still a bigger pay-per-view.
Feel like he'll fight anyway.
No way.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather versus anyone as a grouping versus Jake Paul versus anyone, you think the Floyd fight does more?
If the anyone is the same, you're saying?
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Floyd versus Anderson does more than Anderson versus Jake.
If it's a real fight, yeah.
What do you mean real fight? I'm saying the same fight.
Like not an exhibition.
Yeah. 8 rounds, whatever it is.
Mayweather Deji is an exhibition, correct?
Yeah.
And you think that does more than...
Well, no, because that's the thing. Floyd Mayweather is doing these like exhibition fights.
Yeah.
A real fight.
By the way, no one gives a shit. You think the people that are buying these pay-per-views know what's the difference between an exhibition or not?
Yeah, I
It's
think
just
they
to
do.
keep him from just in case like a fluke thing happens.
I do think they do.
No, it's because he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to put
Because
his 50-0 at risk.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
For
In case
Showtime
a fluke thing happens, he doesn't want the one.
a broadcaster or somebody like that, it's going to take it's going to take Logan Paul to say we'll put this exhibition at the top of the card, right? For a Floyd Mayweather. They're not going to be like, yeah, we're dying to have an exhibition between Floyd and Deji on the top of our card. So it changes the stakes of it. So yeah, I do think I think a pro fight matters. And especially if it was Floyd Mayweather, because now we're talking about 50, we're talking about potentially handing that a loss on that record. I think that matters a lot. Yeah, actually.
No, I don't think anyone cares.
What do you mean? Like, nobody would care if Floyd Mayweather was actually risking his record?
Against Deji? Like, do you think they care if it's an exhibition or a pro fight?
I do.
No one cares. No one cares. Because, by the way, if Deji was...
especially if it was somebody who could beat him.
No, if Deji would have, like, if he shocks the world, I can't even believe I'm saying these words.
But sure.
Like, not happening.
If he beats him, if he knocks him out, right? Because you can't win via judges, right? In an exhibition.
See, this is why it matters.
But if he knocked him out, people would still hang that over him.
Of course. But if he knocked him out and it was the one on his record, if it was the loss on his record, you don't think that increases the stakes? You don't think that matters to people?
I'm being told right now, in Japan, his pay-per-view did 10K buys, and the previous one in Abu Dhabi did 30K, less than 30K.
Yeah, this is like these one-off exhibition things.
So you're saying Tommy Fury's the draw there?
Yeah, Tommy Fury is the biggest draw on that card.
No, there's no way. I'm sorry. There's no way that
a pro boxing Floyd Mayweather fight right now outdraws a Jake Paul.
Oh, you're saying like a legitimate one, not like a...
This is what we've just been saying for the last 5 minutes.
No,
Yes,
like a legitimate
legit
one
fight.
where he's fighting Errol Spence.
Oh, then it's not even close.
Yes, I actually didn't think you were saying that. I thought you were saying like one of these like sort of fantasy matchups, him versus...
No, man, these are not real fights. I'm talking about a real fight.
Wait a second, are you saying they're rigged?
No, I'm not saying that either.
Because I'll have Twitter swallow you up too.
Oh, versus now you're talking about legit opponents too.
Yeah.
Then,
No. I wasn't talking about legit. I was just saying Floyd in these bizarro fights.
But I'm saying even Anderson, like if it was a pro boxing fight against Anderson Silva, then yeah.
I don't know.
I'm with.
Yeah. Then
I'm with
yeah.
Rick.
Still.
Right.
Pay-per-view records is Floyd own.
Floyd is a must.
I just think he
fighter.
Yes, but I think he has done a lot of damage to his.
There's an argument, but
marketability
only because he's continuing to do like it's exhibition after exhibition after exhibition. If Floyd Mayweather right now goes, you know what, we're doing Conor again, and it's a pro fight, it outsells Jake Paul.
Oh no!
Well, Connor's. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Come on, you're comparing Anderson Silva to Conor McGregor.
Pick an opponent. A Floyd Mayweather.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Matters.
Let me ask you this: Floyd versus Nate, Nate versus Jake. Yeah, like a fight.
A real fight? Yeah, I think Mayweather for sure.
What do you think, GC?
I think Mayweather as well. Because of the pay-per-view buys, like the market that Floyd Mayweather is going to attract, I think he will get more buys.
It is not insignificant. The idea of somebody being Floyd Mayweather's first loss.
Well, that
is not insignificant.
Especially if it's Nate Diaz. Then you're drawing from. I mean, Diaz versus Mayweather. You're drawing from so many different markets.
But if you're talking about selling pay-per-views on Mio or whatever the heck these platforms are, like, yeah, of course. But a real fight?
By the way, I don't think it was called Mio.
With a real
Mio was like the thing that our sponsor that we had.
Back in the
the craft
Mio
thing.
Energy.
Mio Energy, you like squeeze this thing into water.
Whatever those things are. But yeah, a Floyd Mayweather fight is still an attraction, no doubt. A real fight.
Wow. Yeah, no, I'm not denying that.
A Logan Paul exhibition.
I'm just saying right now, going back to the original point, right now, I think these Jake fights are bigger than whatever Floyd is doing.
Yeah, these like...
Yeah, I think the initial thing that kicked this off was Jake Paul, Anderson Silva has definitely sold more than what the Floyd Mayweather Deji card is going to do.
Yeah. But Floyd versus Anderson in a real fight, I'm picking that fight to sell more.
Nah, I don't know about that.
I mean,
it's Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, I just really wonder. I feel like his fights just happen in this weird vacuum right now.
Because they're not
because
real
they
fights.
are weird. Yeah, they're not real fights. There's zero stakes to them at all. Other than
they are not
Floyd
real
Mayweather
fights.
is throwing on some boxing.
Do you guys think they're rigged?
And trotting out there.
No, stop.
No, I don't know.
I don't think that they're rigged.
Are there any rigged fights? Why do people come up with this stuff? By the way, let me ask you this: Why are people?
First of all, why do we need to rig a fight for Floyd Mayweather?
No, but why are people so quick to throw out the rig, but not in boxing or fighting, and not in other sports? I actually think it might be easier to fake it in a sport where you're not getting punched, because, like, just think about how hard it is to fake getting punched, right?
Well, we'd be naive to pretend that it's never happened, right? We'd be naive to say that there's no such thing. That would be naive. That would be
1,000%.
Do you think it happens a lot more now with the rise of gambling and whatnot?
And there's
well, I mean, the biggest
incentivized.
I also think I just think gambling has always been there, like for the last century, whether it's legal or not. It's always been there, and I think there have been fights that have been rigged because of gambling, for sure.
Yes, but the recent ones, the ones that everyone are so quick to say.
Yes, like Jake Paul, Anderson Silva. No, I do not think that was rigged.
I wonder why people go to that place.
Because they don't want it to be true.
Yeah,
they don't want the result to be true.
Well,
they've created a world in their head where Jake Paul can't be as good at boxing as they want him to be, and then when he is, they have to come up with a justification for it. They have to make up something. There has to be a reason why Jake Paul is as good as he is, and it can't be that he's really that good.
Well, speaking of Jake Paul, let's talk to Jake Paul. Jake Paul is here to join us. I appreciate him doing this. He was on center stage Saturday at the newly renamed Desert Diamond Arena. He defeated Anderson Silva fair and square. I think his best performance thus far as a pro boxer. Hard to deny that. Hard to deny that he's come a very long way in the past year. He's kind enough to join us. Let's not waste any time and say hello to Jake Paul. Jake, how are we feeling? Thanks for doing this, man.
I'm sick, man. I woke up really sick. Sorry about that.
No problem.
That's why I'm late. I feel like shit, but I pulled it together.
Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it under a tough circuit. What are you feeling? Like, is it your body from the fight? Are you feeling like a cold or something? What are you feeling?
It's like I'm like a cold or something. Like my nose is stuffy and I'm like coughing up phlegm.
Ah, shit. All right. Well, I'm sorry about this, and I'll make it quick so we won't make you feel worse. Congrats on the win. 36 hours later, how do you feel about what you did out there on Saturday?
It's still, pretty crazy to me, beating one of the greatest combat strikers of all time. I'm just proud of myself. I'm proud I was able to execute everything we worked on in the gym. This is the first fight where everything was slowed down for me, and I was able to like really, really handle the moment really well, and just executed the game plan perfectly. Felt really comfortable in there, and here we are, man. It's unbelievable. It's surreal, and I can't believe that I actually pulled it off. But I'm very proud of myself.
What are you thinking in the first round when he's hardly throwing less than Tyron Woodley? Did you expect that, or did you find yourself surprised by that?
Yeah, we expected him to start slow. I think he was just trying to gauge what it was that I was going to do. He was trying to like get my timing. So yeah, he's known for starting slow, and then he did pick it up right away though, like in the second round, and he started to get angry.
Yes, and then we saw some of the old antics come out, right? The dancing, even fake that he was going to kick you or something. It was like an interesting little sequence there. When you're like, it's one thing to watch that. It's another thing to live that. You lived it. What is that like?
It didn't bother me at all, really. Like, I don't get why fighters do all that extra shit, because then a couple rounds later, they're tired and not doing it anymore. So it's like you just wasted your energy on that, and it doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't win you the fight. If anything, it does the opposite. Like, judges see that and they're like, oh, he's not pressing the action. And there was a couple of times where he had his hands down and I just fucking jabbed him like 3 times to the body. So I don't know. I don't get why fighters do that, and they think it's like cool. Or they think it's going to intimidate me or something. I don't know.
Did you feel like he got tired as the fight went on?
Yeah, we both did. We both did. Maybe him more than me for sure, but my body shots were adding up. I threw way, way more body shots than him, and I think that was the difference really in the fight. And it slowed him down as the later rounds went on, and I saw it. I saw it in his eyes. So I don't think he was expecting that from from me to throw that many body shots.
I said at the beginning of today's show that the Jake who fought and beat Tyron Woodley in August in Cleveland doesn't win this fight on Saturday. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely agree. Even the Jake that fought Tyron Woodley in Tampa wouldn't have beat this version of Anderson Silva. I have gotten so much better this year, so much sharper. And it's kudos to my team, but also I've only been doing this as a professional for about 3 years now. So this year was the third year where everything really just started to click in the gym. And just handling the moment and the pressure. I think still in those fights in Cleveland and Tampa, I was still learning how to work with the crowd, still learning how to, feel good under the lights, hold in the anticipation of the big moment. So that's art. And now I really have that down and wasn't nervous for this fight at all.
Wow.
And just felt like I was supposed to be there.
Were you surprised by the boos when you came out?
No, no. I mean, I was surprised there was a lot of, I guess, in the sense of like how many people were there for Anderson. Yes. Yeah. That was definitely shocking, but I feel like I always get booed. Even in my hometown, I was in Cleveland, I was getting booed. I think that's the audience that likes to watch me is 50% they want to see me lose and 50% are supporting. And there's really no gray area. They're like, most people aren't coming to see a fight. They either hate me or they want me to win.
Where did you think you were at going into the 8th? Did you think that you needed to, to stop him in order to win the fight? Was that just an exclamation point? Where did you think you were at mentally?
I thought at that point in time I was up 5 rounds to 2.
Okay. So you thought you had it.
Yeah. I knew I was winning. And I knew that his coaches probably thought that too, and that they told him to like come out really hard and really strong. I think to try and get me out of there because I think he knew that he was losing, and I think that's where he got caught was, overextending himself and standing up in the pocket. So I don't know. What did you have it scored going into the 8th?
It was hard because I was, I was working the broadcast. I thought you were up. I thought you were up either 4-3 or 5-2.
Yeah.
Some of them were super close. I would love to see open scoring. Do you think open scoring would be? I ask a lot of people this question. Do you think it would be of benefit to someone in your position? Like, would you have liked to know for sure where you're at, or you don't care about that?
I mean, my coaches pretty much score it. They tell me when I come back to the corner, and they had it scored that same way, like 5 rounds to 2, pretty much. So they knew I was up. I think open scoring would be interesting. I see both sides of it though. Like, would it make you like fight harder if you're down on the scorecard?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I think that's just something you should like know and feel, and if it's a close fight, so you really gotta press the action regardless if it's a close fight. So I don't know.
I asked you afterwards, what will they say now? And I made a point not to look at Twitter or anything. You okay? You doing all right?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
All right. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
This is a tougher, matchup for you than Saturday night against Anderson.
Yeah.
I said, what will they say now? And it was like an honest question because I didn't know what people were saying. I didn't look at Twitter during the broadcast or anything like that. And then I get on Twitter and I see a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, he's too old. He's not a real boxer. The same old hits. What are you hearing? What are they saying now? Do you feel like you're getting props for this, or do you feel like people are bringing up other stuff to discredit you?
I think smart people with intelligence are giving me props and respect. Like the WBC president, saying that anyone who says Jake is not a real boxer is just bitter and is a hater. People like Teddy Atlas showing me mad respect. A lot of fighters showing me mad respect. A lot of MMA guys texting me saying that you looked really sharp. That was the best you fought. Ryan Garcia is showing me respect. So the smart people who I care about are, showing that love. There are the people who will always be there in my career that are discrediting it. And now they're saying it was rigged. They're like, it went from Jake's going to get knocked out by Anderson to, oh, that was rigged.
Does this drive you nuts? It drives me nuts just seeing people make up this shit. I talked about it earlier on the show. When you see this, it's like, look at him. He didn't really get punched. Look at how he fell. How do you react when you see this stuff?
I lose faith in my generation and my peers and like us as a society and in a world just when I see that type of stuff and that type of stupidity. Yeah, it just sucks. And it sucks because I work so hard for this, like I dedicate everything, sacrifice everything every single day, bust my balls, have a 15-person team working around the clock to help me become the best boxer possible. And when I do something like beating Anderson Silva, yeah, they try to take it away from me. But I know deep down, and I guess that's all that really matters.
Earlier in the program, we had your old friend Tommy Fury on. I'm sure you're not surprised to hear that he wasn't very impressed with your performance. He said that he would beat you easily. You fought an old man, all this stuff. He's ready to fight you after his fight next week. Do you have any interest in this fight against Tommy Fury?
Yeah, there's definitely interest. I think if his team is taking the financial risk and like putting the event on, then I'm cool with that. I just don't want to take the risk anymore because I think he's going to back out again, most likely. But it's an easy fight for me, like way easier than Anderson. The kid's a novice. He's never fought anyone good. He's never even fought an 8-round fight. So he just doesn't have the experience like I do, which is crazy to say because he's been doing it his whole life. But people call him a professional boxer and they respect him as a professional boxer. So yeah, I mean, I would love to strip that title from him, and I wouldn't even actually have to train for that fight. I would still train because I'm a professional, but I wouldn't have to train to fight him.
He still can't come to the States. Would you be willing to fight him in the UK or somewhere overseas?
Yeah.
You would?
I think that would be epic. And I love going to those crowds, because they would all boo me. And then I shut them up all the time. So I like playing that role and like being the heel, especially in the UK.
When we spoke in the ring, you said Nate, you said Canelo, you didn't mention Tommy, but I feel like that could be the easiest one to make. Is there a chance that's next for you?
I guess we have to go to the drawing board. Like I haven't really even had a chance to like decompress and like see if there's other fighters calling me out. But definitely a lot of options on the table. And just gonna do what makes the most sense and makes the most hype. So back to the drawing board, I guess.
What happened in the hallway with Nate's team and your team? What do you know now that maybe you didn't know on Saturday?
Yeah. They were talking shit to someone on my team and like flipping them off and shit. And then they threw a water bottle at my teammate. And then they started just throwing like liquids and boxes and random shit up in the air. And that's when my security got involved and like rushed them. And they like backed all the way down the hallway. And some person from my team was like just walking by trying to get into my locker room, which is right there. And he got like caught in the crossfire. He didn't even know what was going on. And all of a sudden he got like choked. But then my security rushed them and they like pussied out and like ran away.
That would obviously be a gigantic deal. Do you think that fight happens next year?
If he's actually out of his UFC contract, I would be down. I just beat one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. Nate Diaz is easy work. Anderson Silva is way more difficult than Nate Diaz.
You think so? Why?
Well, he's like slow, and at the end of his career, like he's lost it. As far as striking, like maybe he still has jiu-jitsu, but as far as like striking and all that, he's just like a street fighter. And boxing's like a purist sport. It's art, and you can't come in and street fight someone in a boxing match. Anderson has length, has the height. Anderson hits harder, is more slippery, has better head movement. The list goes on. So
of all the options out there,
I know so that Nate is easier.
Of all the options out there, which one do you think sells the most? Which is the biggest fight that you think you can get?
Yeah, probably Nate. Probably Nate is the biggest. It would be interesting still to fight Floyd though in an actual professional bout.
Is that something you want? I've never really heard you talk about Floyd recently.
Yeah, I first of all, that's still a big fight, and he's still a massive, massive draw. And if it was an actual pro match, I think people would be super, super interested.
You're so much bigger than him, no? Like, isn't he 47, 54? How low can you get?
So he fought my brother weighing, Logan was weighing 190. I could get to 175.
Wow.
And Floyd could weigh 165, and a commission would approve that.
Wow. That's like a bucket list fight for you.
Yeah, I just know I would win, and I would love to take his O, and it would be a massive, a massive fight, like as far as pay-per-views. So I would love to do that for sure.
In terms of like checklists, what's the biggest one that you want to check off next? Is it fight the real boxer? Is it fight a guy like Nate? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you're checking off things with every fight. What's that big one that you hear the most about that you haven't done that you want to kind of cross off so that people at least stop bringing that up? Like, what do you feel like drives you at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like definitely professional boxer is like the number one criticism. But anyone who, again, is smart knows that Anderson Silva is a real professional boxer and just beat a former world champion. So I don't know. I haven't really been on social media like seeing if people are still criticizing because of that. Like I've seen the rigged thing, but yeah. At this point, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Like and fight whoever's ready and willing to actually show up.
And speaking of that, and I'll let you go in a moment. Thank you again for the time. And speaking of that, one thing I've never asked you about, but I've always wondered, most people get into fighting to make money, right? It's prize fighting. They usually come from tough backgrounds. They want to get rich. And then what happens often, they get rich, very rich, generational wealth, and then they lose that sort of fire, right? You came into this as a relatively rich man. You're obviously a lot richer now by doing this, but you already had money. And so at some point, is there any part of you that's like, yo, I have my millions. Why am I waking up to do this? Well, and you're so young and so fresh in your career, but you already have the money that people dream of having at the end of their career. So why would you keep fighting, sparring, running when you already got to the other side of the rainbow and have everything that people usually fight for?
I love it, man. I love this shit. I'm addicted to it. I love all aspects of it. Like even I was cutting weight for this fight, and I was just like, man, something about this I fucking love, which is weird. But it's like the challenge of it, the warrior feel, getting in the ring under those lights like a gladiator. This is what I was made to do, and it's fucking addicting. And I wouldn't change it for anything, man. And I feel like I was put on this earth to box, and it's helped me in so many different ways. It's helped me with routine, discipline. Help me figure out who I am as a person and as a man. And I owe this sport everything, man. And I just love it so much. I have such a deep burning passion for this sport.
And so ultimately, do you think you've already exceeded your own expectations from the kid who started this 3 years ago? Like that video of you punching, hitting mitts, that's absurd. It like doesn't even look like the same human being. Would you say you've already exceeded your own expectations?
100%. 100%. Anything else that happens now is just a cherry on top. My brother just says that I should retire and leave the world and just like leave people with their jaws dropped. Like that kid just went 6-0, beat some of the MMA's best, and then just doesn't do it anymore. But I'm not gonna do that. But I have exceeded my own expectations, and I think this is just the start, man. Like I'm really starting to get good, and there's a lot of people that I want to beat, and I want to be a world champion.
And you think you get to 10 fights?
For sure. I originally was like, I'll go 10-0 and then retire. But now I'm 6-0 and it feels like I just am getting warmed up. So who knows what ends up happening.
Realistically, when do you fight again?
Sometime next year, like early, probably Q1 or Q2 of next year.
Oh, that Q1. That's not that far away.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be down. If we can make something happen. Like I've just had such a long time off, right?
Right.
And I've been training this whole year, but the point of this sport is to go in and actually fight. So I'm down to stay active.
Crystal ball, who's that guy?
Man, I don't know.
It's wide open right now.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And I need to fucking talk to Nikisa. I'm gonna figure it out though.
What were you gonna say there?
No, I've just been like celebrating.
Oh, okay.
Sick now, and like I just need to have discussions with
it's fresh.
Nikisa about like who's available and who, like, what the word on the street has been. I'm sure he's been talking to people. So we'll see.
Okay. Two last things. How confident are you that this Fighters Association that was part of the, the bet, of course, which you won, how confident are you that this happens? And how confident are you that, well, it's a three-part. How confident are you that it happens, that Anderson helps? And then what needs to happen now? Like, what are you doing to actually get this off the ground?
Yeah, I'm very confident it happens and that Anderson will help. I think he's a man of his word, and this is needed. It's been needed for so long. And right now we're talking with lawyers to get everything set up and to figure out the structure and to start to ideate on what this union looks like and how it will be operated.
And obviously you need the fighters to be on board. Are you confident they'll be on board considering you're somewhat polarizing to them?
Yeah, no, I think that's where people like Anderson Silva joining really help because they respect him. But I think that fighters, regardless of if they hate me or love me, I'm trying to help them. And they just should see that because I'm just continuing to help fighters nonstop. And they should see the things I've done for Amanda Serrano and like the situation that she was in. And I just want to help. So they could hate me or not really even respect me, but we should be on the same team. That's the whole point of this union is let's band together and be strong as one. And so I might not even like a certain fighter that wants to be in the union, but it doesn't matter. I'm putting my ego aside because this is going to benefit all of us.
And finally, speaking of Amanda Serrano, earlier today we had Katie Taylor on. We got to see this, man. We got to see this. And I worry, with all due respect, I worry you and Eddie and your issue is the roadblock to seeing this happen. Croke Park, 80,000 people in May in Ireland. This would be like one of the greatest scenes ever in boxing. Can we put aside our issues with Eddie to make this happen? What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That has nothing to do with it. Amanda wants to make that happen. And she wants to become undisputed at 126. So she wants to go after Erica Cruz, get that last belt to be undisputed. And she wants this rematch with Katie Taylor. So just figuring out the business side of it and what makes sense and when. We haven't heard anything from their side. We've made offers financially, and nothing's come from their end. So we've been the one pushing the envelope and pushing the ball forward, and they've been kicking the can down the road.
All right. Well, hopefully it happens. They say they have a date. They have the venue, Croke Park, 80,000 people. Would be pretty damn incredible to be a part of that. Another notch on your belt. So, I'm just trying. Should I bring Eddie in? Maybe we could do a little, a little rematch of the face-to-face, something like that. I don't know. I mean, look, if you and I could settle our differences, I feel like you and Eddie can settle your differences.
Sorry. The difference is you're a great person, and we just like made fun of each other on Twitter, like as jokes.
Right.
Like, I have nothing against you. Like, you've always been there, supporting me, rooting for me. And I really appreciate that. And so if we joke on Twitter, that's one thing, but
I'm kidding,
Hearn is actually Eddie Hearn's actually he's a snake. So he's a bad person. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. Feel better. Congratulations, man. What a scene. What a spectacle. A lot of respect for you. I don't think people understand what it means to go 8 rounds with Anderson Silva. I don't care what his age is. And I agree with everything you said about him versus who a typical 5-0, 6-0 boxer is fighting. So I hope you are proud of yourself. Hold your head up high. And what a week for the Paul family. Now your brother's off to Saudi Arabia to challenge Roman Reigns on November 5th, this Saturday. So incredible stuff. Congrats to all of you and enjoy the victory. And I hope you feel better. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
All right, there he is, Jake Paul joining us under the weather, but kind enough to join us. And so it's going to be one of the stories to watch, one of the stories to follow, one of these stories to monitor come 2023. Who's up next? Where are they fighting? Tommy in the UK would be huge, or maybe somewhere in the Middle East. I would love it in the UK. Nate would be huge. He just threw out the Floyd Mayweather name. Interesting. I'm kind of leaning towards. This is what I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards Tommy, Nate fighting someone else, and then they both, maybe get that victory and meet next summer. I do think doing it in the summertime, like the Woodley fight, nothing else was going on in sports. I think that helps to a degree. So I'm curious to see how it all plays out. And I'm curious to see Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns on Saturday. I know the guys back there. You guys going to watch that back there?
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
Tremendous stuff. Appreciate him fighting through that under the weather.
Great interview, man.
Yeah, you enjoyed that?
Yeah, I like the nice comment at the end about, he's just giving you shit on Twitter.
Because, yeah, I didn't take that too personally. Although I did get fired up on that Monday. But we settled the quote unquote beef. It wasn't really beef. It was more, disagreement, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes this happens.
I think it was just banter, to be honest.
Yeah, it was bants. It was just friendly ribbing, right?
Yes.
All right. I got to go trick-or-treating with my kids. So, Frank, you going trick-or-treating?
No. I'm going to watch Hereditary.
I don't know what that is.
It's a movie. The chat's been telling me to watch it. I'm going to watch it.
The chat has been?
Yeah.
Like, you're interacting with the chat on what to watch?
Sometime last week.
What?
Yeah.
What's going on over here?
I'm gone rogue.
Is New York Rick gone?
He's still here.
Wow. I thought he would have been gone. I thought he would have been 10 houses deep at this point.
I wish.
GC, are you going trick-or-treating?
I wish. No.
Are you a give out candy type of guy?
Yeah. They do a little something at my apartment.
Do kids come around in the apartment?
Yeah.
All right.
I got a bowl.
You got a bowl?
Yeah, nothing too crazy.
I feel like you're one of those leave the bowl outside.
Bring some of that candy in on Wednesday.
I feel, you know what?
Indian. That's all Frank's been talking about all show.
GC, for me, sure, I'll be happy to.
He says nobody brings in any candy.
GC, I feel like, is a big full candy bar guy.
Yeah.
Right?
One day down the road when I got.
I feel like your house is that type of house, like the one you grew up in.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, Halloween was great. Yeah, full candy bars, everything.
No mini stuff. Get that shit out.
No mini stuff. Yeah. Are you a full candy bar house? Do people go to the Helwani
absolutely
house?
Not. Absolutely not.
They're getting
the mini
apples
of the mini. Apples, candy corn, toothbrushes, toothpaste, books.
Skip that house. Skip the Helwanis. You're not getting anything good.
Yep. I even turn off the lights. I mean, we can't be bothered. Thank you very much to all our guests: Jake Paul, Sean O'Malley, Sean Brady, Tommy Fury, Sayif Saud, and the great Katie Taylor herself. What a show. What a day. What an episode. Thanks to them. Thanks to you. Back on Wednesday, same time and place. Until I say, peace. I'm out of here.